Let's hope it's working off the rippity bopippity mcnippity. You gotta pray sometimes when it comes to technology. Looks like we have excellent connection. That's a good thing. That's a good sign. Hello, Tony Davidson, first person here. Congratulations. That officially makes you a teacher's pet. Howdy, everybody. Audio static. All right, what about now? What about now? How are we now? We good? My bad. I gotta, I don't know, maybe clean the USB port or something. I don't know. Because now that's becoming a little bit more, that keeps happening. Anyway, yeah, no, the B-2s are moving. We have B-2s in the air moving closer and closer to Iran. At the same time, Trump has a meeting with the what is it? National Security Council, I think, tonight. Let's see. Breaking news. Let's get that up. And then I want to see the B-2 bombers. B-2 bombers moving. Yeah. So we've got the U.S. is moving B-2 stealth bombers toward Guam amid uncertainty over possible. Yo, W Chatter, you got it perfectly right. American B-2 stealth bombers, the advanced aircraft known for being capable of delivering huge bunker buster bombs, potentially capable of destroying Iran's underground nuclear facility at Fordo, are headed towards Guam in the Pacific Ocean. Open source flight trackers showed on Saturday, possibly signaling that the U.S. is preparing for a strike on the Iranian site. Yeah, we're cooked. 2 and 4 stealth bombers, along with 6 refueling aircraft. So, let's say 4. Let's just go with 4. 4 stealth bombers, 6 refueling aircraft. So, each one of those stealth bombers has, I think, 2 bunker busters, or like 4 bunker busters, and 16 nuclear weapons, or they're capable of holding 16 nuclear weapons. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage you could do. That's a lot of damage. Let's see. If they'll continue towards Diego Garcia. Dude, if they go to Diego Garcia, then they're attacking. Yeah, it's seen as the ideal location from which to operate in the Middle East. If these bad boys land in Diego Garcia, war is imminent. Okay? Well, I mean, war is already happening. The strike on Fordo itself is imminent. Okay? Oh, don't forget the poll. Good idea, good idea, good idea, good idea, good idea, good idea. Thank you, Chatter. Thank you. Thank you, Chatter. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. If you just got here, welcome, 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 welcome. Engage with your audience. Start a poll. Have you liked and subscribed yet? Yes or no? I'm No, No, I want to be drafted. Glad to be here from the start of the stream. Welcome. I'm glad you are here. Okay. What other breaking news do we have? Let's get that up. IDF hits Isfahan nuclear site for the 2nd time. Okay. He had a bailout plan for his wife, who's a prepper. So the guy, the shooter was a fucking nutcase, as we all know. Oh my God. Ayatollah Khamenei is planning for his possible assassination. Sheltering in a bunker, Iran's supreme leader names potential successors. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has not only picked replacements in his chain of military command in case they are killed in Israeli strikes, but he's also named 3 senior clerics to replace him should he too be slain. Oh, Jesus. Named 3 senior clerics as candidates, perhaps the most telling. All right, that's, well, that's something. That's something. Israel targets more Iranian military leaders as calls for a ceasefire build. There ain't going to be no ceasefire. They killed another 3 Iranian military leaders. There's expected to be a call for a ceasefire this weekend in Istanbul. That's in Turkey. Yeah, this war could be lengthy. Halt airstrikes and negotiations on Iran can continue. So here's the thing. The only way to have negotiations with Iran is to order Israel to stop their airstrikes, right? The problem is Israel's narrative that they're trying to paint is that they only have 2 to 3 days until Iran has a nuclear weapon, you know? We're at 8 or 9 now. We're at 8.5. We're at 8.5. We're at 8.5. 8, 8, 8.5. 8, 8.5. 8, 8.5. 8, 8, 8.5. You guys want to check out my most recent TikTok? It's pretty gas. I think you're going to like it. It's pretty gas. Let's see. Valenti videos. Here you go.
Oh, what a beautiful baby boy. If only Iran wasn't 2 weeks from getting a nuclear weapon. First day of middle school, huh, son?
Hi, Jack.
Well,
Hi,
if
Jack.
only Iran wasn't 2 days from getting a nuclear weapon. My boy is going to college. If only Iran wasn't 21 minutes from getting a nuclear weapon.
I'm so funny. I make myself laugh. Anyway, hi, Nelson. Hi, Jack. Hi, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. Oh, let's see. Israel says it killed Iran's military coordinator with Hamas. Israel says it has killed a senior Iranian commander who helped plan Hamas's October 7th, 2023 attack on southern Israel. IDF said the killing of Saeed Izadi marked the key point in the conflict. He was one of the orchestrators of the attack, which killed about 1,200 people and saw many others taken to Gaza as hostages, says IDF Chief Eyal Zamir. Okay. Well, that's more escalation. Trump has a meeting today in the Situation Room at 6 p.m. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. King Doland is having a meeting in his Situation Room. You don't want King Doland in the Situation Room. Americans are fleeing Israel. Israel, oh, Jesus.
Straight to our top story this morning. Israel says it's currently striking military infrastructure in Iran after killing an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commander who they say funded and armed Hamas ahead of the October 7th attacks in Israel.
Mike Tobin is live in Tel Aviv with the very latest details. Hey, Mike.
Good morning, Griff. Good morning, gang. Israeli fighter jets are
Where's his neck? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Brother, what the fuck? What the fuck? His head is so long. His head is so long. How is this possible? I gotta see this guy turn.
active right now in the southwestern portion of Iran. According to the IDF, they're striking targets. And this follows another round of Iranian missiles that flew at central Israel last night. Those missiles once again creating fireballs in the sky as they re-enter the atmosphere. Israeli missile interceptors in hot pursuit in the sky. The town of Holon, next to Tel Aviv, took a hit, resulting in a fire on the top of an apartment building. No reports of injuries. This is the second time Holon has been hit in the past 3 days.
So guys, don't let nobody ever tell you that you can't accomplish your dreams, because by all accounts, this man should have never been in front of a camera. This man should never be on camera, and he is on Fox News reporting on World War III. Fox News is the most watched news channel, quote unquote, in fucking history. So, like, don't ever let nobody tell you can't accomplish your goals.
Israeli warplanes have been on the hunt in Iran. The IDF reports the assassination of key Iranian figures. One of them was struck in a car. Benham Shahriyahi is his name. The IDF says he was a commander of the force that transferred weapons to Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthi rebels. The IDF also says they assassinated Saeed Izzadahi last night. He is said to have been one of the architects of the October 7th massacre and a key person in the relationship between Iran and Hamas. He was killed in the hideout apartment in the Iranian town of Qum. The destruction of Iran's missiles continues. The IDF estimates they have destroyed more than half of Iran's missiles.
I love how they say that, like, he was killed in an apartment strike, but, like, bro, guarantee you they took out the entire fucking apartment building. Guarantee you, willing to bet money that Israel was like, listen, there's 400 people in this apartment building, but we know that our guys in there are targets, so fuck it. High key guarantee. Like, that's some criminal shit. That's some criminal shit.
Now, we are also following some breaking news coming.
Oh, Jesus. Hold on. I also want to see Trump's truth real quick. We gotta start with Trump truth. Gotta start with the Trump truth. Oh, here we go. I mean, he's not really saying anything about the war. What is this? This is the stupidest shit ever. Great poll numbers for Trump. Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's where I think we have to, this is the reason why President Trump received 77.3 million votes and 312 electoral votes and won with such an overwhelming show of support in the election this last fall. We have to trust in our commander-in-chief. And we saw in his first 4 years in office, President Trump kept us out of all new wars. There's an important point here that sometimes with the peace through strength, sometimes you have to show a little strength to avoid having to get into a war, because in certain cases we don't take care of it now.
Yo, so Mahmoud Khalil, he's been released. Yo, so real quick, I gotta find the page. Maybe I'm going insane, but there is a stipulation in the 1,000-paged big beautiful bill that makes Trump a king. It's in like, I don't even know. It's on like page 512. Or something like that, and it says that like if you want to sue the federal government, they will get to analyze how much money they would lose in damages if they lost the lawsuit, and then before you can even begin the lawsuit, you would have to put up the money and be like, we will be able to pay you back if we win this law. It's insane. It's saying, like, say I sue the government for some fuck shit, and they're like, well, listen, if you sue us and win, that'll cost us $1 billion in damages. So you need to be able to pay us $1 billion right now in case we do lose it. It's an insane, essentially, it quite literally prevents anybody, even like state governors, from suing the federal government. I have to find it for you. Big, beautiful bill makes Trump king. Oh, Jesus, I have to find it. I have to find it. It's so deep in it. Somebody on TikTok covered this too. If I could find it. Let me see if I could find it. Ah, this guy. This guy covers it.
Trying to make Trump king by law. A hidden measure in the Republican budget.
The Guardian.
One big beautiful bill.
It's Robert Reich. Oh, it's Robert Reich. Robert Reich. The Guardian. What is the article? A hidden measure makes Trump king. So if you don't know who Robert Reich is, or Reich, whatever the fuck, he is one of the best historians out there. He has incredible YouTube videos about like how the American empire is collapsing. He is one of my idols. I idolize this man. But he wrote this on May 27th because he read the entire fucking thing. Oh, it's a provision that would allow Trump to crown himself king. For months now, Trump has been trying to act like a king by ignoring court rules. Yeah, we know all that. We know all that. Where is the actual thing? Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. No court of the United States may use appropriated funds to enforce a contempt citation for failure to comply with an injunction or temporary restraining order if no security was given when the injunction or order was issued. So translated into modern English, that means no federal court may enforce a contempt citation. Now, a contempt citation is if Trump violates a federal order, they can hold him in contempt. They can put sanctions on him. They can charge him, right? If this passes, this means that Trump can violate federal court orders and you legally cannot hold him in contempt. It quite literally actually turns him into a king. It turns him into a king. Without the contempt power, judicial orders are meaningless and can be ignored. There is no way to understand this except as a way to keep the Trump regime from being restrained when it violates the Constitution or otherwise breaks the law. This single measure, Trump will have crowned himself king. If enacted, no Congress and no court could stop him. Even if a future Congress were to try, it could not do so without the power of the courts to enforce their hearings, investigations, subpoenas, and laws. Dude, this is insane. That's insane. That's actually the end of democracy. If this bill is passed, it's over. Democracy officially ends. Brother, that's so fucking crazy. That's so fucking crazy.
Coming in from Fox News here just moments ago, as they do say that 6 U.S. B-2 stealth bombers appear headed toward Guam. We are following all of the developments with that as well. And as we talk more about the conflict here, I do want to take you out to a post from the Israel Defense Forces, as they did say that 40 UAVs were intercepted by the IAF after being fired from Iran overnight. 470 or more UAVs have been intercepted since Operation Rising Lion, which is a 99%.
Dude, Rising Lion is such a goofy fucking name. Oh my god, it's such a goofy name for an operation. I hate when we give operations these goofy, because you know who's naming them? Some fucking suit-wearing douchebag in like the fucking Pentagon. Why don't we call it Operation Rising Lion? It's not like and then the guys on the ground are like, brother, I'm gonna die. Like, what are we talking about?
Success rate. Again, all of this information and the video there on the left-hand side of your screen has been coming in on a daily basis. As always, so much to discuss here, so I do want to bring in Jonathan Ruhi. He is the JINSA Director of Foreign Policy.
Dude, you know what's crazy is there are Americans watching these clips having war boners, and they're pissed that this isn't us. They're pissed that the Israelis are the ones taking. They're like, brother, we got to get involved, brother. We got to get involved now. Like, literally millions of Americans are like, it is time to start striking Iran.
Much for taking the time to be here with us and discuss all of this today.
Thank you so much for having me back. It's my pleasure.
Of course. And first off, I did want to ask you kind of overall here, as we talk about this 2-week deadline that is approaching here from President Trump for what to do about Iran, what is at stake for the U.S. if the U.S. is to strike Iran in any way?
So obviously that's the fundamental question, and I'll answer it in 2 very quick parts. Most immediately, as everyone's tracking, is the Fordow nuclear facility. It's Iran's deepest built facility, hosts their most sensitive enrichment, and frankly, it's the last one left.
And frankly, oh my God, he's infecting
given
Fox.
That Israel lacks the munitions to reliably neutralize it. And that is what President Trump has been weighing first and foremost, is the U.S. potential involvement to drop the massive ordnance penetrator bunker busters, which use those B-2s that we just saw the tweet about in your clip. So that's really sort of the hinge point that's currently being discussed for U.S. involvement. But more broadly at stake here for the United States is more than 2 decades of America's official red line across Democrat and Republican presidents alike, that Iran will not be permitted to develop a nuclear weapon.
Dude, you've been saying Iran was going to have a nuclear weapon since since 1979, brother. 1979.
Weapon, and that the United States will do whatever it takes, including using military force, to prevent that outcome. And right now, Iran has been signaling that they are nowhere near giving in to U.S. demands on that. And then just secondly, what also at stake here is the potential for Iran to launch a wider war, and this goes beyond just Iran and Israel.
I have to ask.
So I really don't think that this is going to work out in Trump's favor. I think that, yeah, of course, there's a whole bunch of hawkish Republican congressmen who are going to support this war, and definitely a couple of Democrats, mainstream media across the board is going to support it. But, like, can we think for a second about who Trump's voter base is? We're talking about, like, the average American. We're talking about lower income people. A lot of them are veterans. A lot of them fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, Syria. Like, they understand the sandbox. They understand foreign wars. They understand oil wars. Like, he's gonna lose millions of voters for this. I swear to God, he's gonna lose millions of voters for the 2028 election. And I can't believe that we're just, like, talking about his 2028 election as if, like, it's guaranteed. Like, this shouldn't be the way that the world is. Like, he shouldn't be allowed to run, but he absolutely is. And fortunately, this will at least hurt his chances.
Ask here, as we discuss the military itself, the power, the strength, how does Iran's military really compare to what the U.S. has?
So overall, if you stack them up next to each other, Iran's pales in comparison to America's in pretty much every measure. But if you actually turn them and face them head to head, Iran has built its military in a lot of ways to fight us in very specific ways, primarily by threatening all of our bases around the Gulf, around the Arabian Peninsula, and our ability to continue to project power into the Gulf. So Iran takes advantage of the fact that we, the United States, don't have the same air defenses as Israel does. We, being our bases in the Middle East, and also, we try to operate in the Persian Gulf because it's critical to freedom of navigation and global energy supplies. But it's a very crowded and contested environment, and Iran has built its forces using all sorts of different types of missiles and drones to make it very difficult for us to operate.
Here's the thing, guys. Iran doesn't even need to strike American bases. All Iran needs to do is build up defenses and block off the Strait of Hormuz, which is, like, incredibly trafficked for world trade. If the Iranians decide to block off the Strait of Hormuz, then we're going to have a real fucking problem here in the mainland, right? Here in the homeland. Because that's going to increase the prices of everything. That's going to make global trade nearly impossible. The United States would be absolutely willing to bomb the ever-loving fuck out of anybody who tries to hold the Strait of Hormuz. Like, if I'm the Arab world in this moment, not only am I backing Iran, but I'm like, I'm saying it feels like we finally have a chance. You know what I mean? Because the Iranian people are not the Iraqi people. You know what I mean? They're not very poor. Iran is a ginormous, wealthy nation, and they have a ginormous army. It's not like, or ginormous military. It's not like they have the United States level of airplanes. I believe we have 15,000 aircraft, and the Iranians have something like, I don't even know, like 400 or 500, something like that. But if we know how ginormously superior our military is to Iran, why are we treating them like they're this existential threat? You know what I mean? Why are we pretending like they're an existential threat?
Operate in there if they choose.
I want to pop this up here on your screen. This is coming in from the New York Post, and it's something that is developing here as we are told by Iranian media that a top Iranian nuclear scientist was killed in Israel's strikes, and he bragged that he wasn't worried about assassination. We've seen a lot of these nuclear scientists that have been taken out during this operation, correct?
Yes, I think that was honestly one of the most stunning tactical successes in a campaign that even in just a...
So the way that they got a lot of these guys is with drones. The Israelis over the past year or two have been putting, smuggling drones in the back of trucks, kind of like the Ukrainian operation in Russia. The Israelis have been smuggling drones in the back of trucks into Iran and building them up and putting them in strategic locations. So at the same time that Israel launched all of those missiles into Iran, they had like car bombs and drones launched. And I think they were like literally targeting these nuclear scientists in their fucking homes. Some like insanely advanced sci-fi level shit. And of course, there's no footage of any of this coming out of Iran because the media has a tight lid around it. But Israel like shut down the internet and has full control over all the CCTV footage. I mean, it's fucking insane.
Week has been full of them for the Israelis is essentially just like they did with a lot of Iran's military, basically taking out the command and control, the brain trust, if you will, of Iran's nuclear program. People are rightly focused on Fordow and the other physical facilities Israel has neutralized. That's the hardware, but taking out the software, the key software, is more important in terms of slowing Iran's ability to reconstitute the program.
And another question I did want to ask, because we were following that breaking news that is coming in from Fox News. We, as we introduced you here, were getting the information, and they said that the U.S. B-2 stealth bombers were headed toward Guam. How significant overall is that? I assume anything that happens with the U.S. here is fairly significant, and a lot of people are going to be discussing it.
Certainly. In normal times, moving B-2 bombers overseas to places like Guam would, be interesting, but I don't think particularly consequential. But obviously in this context, as you mentioned, everyone's tracking those movements. It depends, I guess, where they move next. If they stay at Guam, I would put less importance on it than if they continue on Diego Garcia, which is a U.S.-British base in the Indian Ocean within easy flying range of Iranian targets. And it's significantly a place where Trump sent a half dozen B-2 bombers earlier this year when he started negotiations with Iran as a signal that the military option was indeed on the table. So I would say to everyone, keep an eye on where they go next, if anywhere.
And I did also want to ask you here, as we go in reverse a little bit and talk a little bit more about the information that is coming in here. We do know that Iranian officials did issue a message saying that if Khamenei, the supreme leader there of Iran, is targeted...
Did you just call him Khamenei? Do these people put in any effort? He just called the Ayatollah Khamenei. The Ayatollah Khamenei. You mean Khamenei? Khamenei? Khamenei. What are we doing? Dude, I feel like sometimes this is intentional because I remember back in the day, they used to call Osama bin Laden Usama bin Laden. Or sometimes they call him Usama bin Laden. I mean, they used to call him insane things. And then the same thing with Iraq and Iran. I feel like this is like an intentional thing, some sort of like propaganda style way of degrading the enemy, like in the eyes of your people, is to like just crazy shit.
In any way, the U.S. military and personnel will be attacked. Do you feel, just based on the information that we do have, that that is a legitimate threat?
I certainly think so. It goes back to my earlier point about how Iran...
imagine if you were watching, I don't know, some fucking guy on Foreign Nations News, and he's speaking decent English, right? And he goes... I think that we need to have some sort of confrontation with the United States of America. America? America? Brother, now I think you're a fool. Now I'm not afraid. Like, what are we talking about?
Built a lot of its military forces to target our bases and our partners in the Gulf. And certainly what Iran is used to doing is to go to the U.S. and say, if Israel keeps hitting us, keeps pressuring us, we're going to turn around and we're going to make life very difficult for you, the United States. They did this well even before October 7th, but especially since then, and they're continuing to do it in this war. And so this is one more way Iran is trying to say, the harder Israel hits us, or if you, the United States, try to join in, we'll make this conflict very uncomfortable for everyone involved.
Meanwhile, dude, Putin let out this ominous message to Israel. Putin said to Israel, he was like, I got Russian scientists there, and they're not fucking leaving. Putin threatens Israel. Yeah, dude. So we got Reuters. Let me get Reuters. Please don't have a fucking paywall. Please do not have a paywall. No, is this even the article? So long story short, Russia has a whole bunch of nuclear scientists in Iran. And Russia said, like, Putin literally said, translate, he was like, my scientists are not going anywhere, right? So, oh, Jesus. Putin says his nuclear scientists are in Iran. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Wall Street Journal. Putin says Russia continuing nuclear power cooperation with Iran. Are you fucking my ass? God damn it. All right, let's check Twitter, I guess, because in a hyper-capitalist society like the United States, even the fucking news is monetized. Staying informed is monetized. Putin says Russian scientists are in Iran. Oh, my mother texted me. Hi, Mama. Putin says we are not leaving Iran. Hello? Luigi, don't bark. Do not bark. The Discord feels like the biggest group chat ever. I'm sure it does. Anyway.
I wanted to ask, this is also something that so many people have discussed, because you always say Iran when you're talking about the situation here, but there is a difference, right, between the Iranian regime and maybe most of the people there in Iran, correct?
Certainly, yes. Speaking more, specifically, certainly there's the regime and there's the vast majority of the people. Iran has always been a country where the regime is about as anti-American as you can get, but the populace is large.
I fucking wonder why, bro. I wonder why. Like, maybe it's because we green light attacks on them. Maybe it's because the Israelis just fucking bombard them constantly. Dude, did you know, like, in 2002, the Israelis hacked into the news, like the public broadcast of Iran, and they put, like, hardcore pornography on it? What the fuck? What the fuck? It's insane.
Largely not. I think what's very interesting is that in recent years, especially the past 5 or so years, we've seen the bases of open opposition to the regime.
Why? It was to fuck with the kids' head. It was like while Israel was bombing Iran, so it was some sort of military operation designed to, like, do psychological damage to the people who watch, like the children who watch broadcast news.
Back with this Fox News alert, we're learning more about the B-2 stealth.
Dude, Fox News has such a war boner, dude. Look at what they're just fucking feeding. They're just feeding our boomer uncles and aunts, going like, yeah, look at this thing, 69 feet long. You think that's accidental? You think that's accidental? 69. Brother, it's 160,000 pounds. It's got 172 feet long wingspan. It can drop 16 nuclear weapons and 42 bunker buster bombs. It's flown by 2 Top Guns, Tom Cruise himself. We've got Tom Cruise himself flying the plane. We've got Tom Hardy. We've got all the Toms. We've got Tom Hanks. We've got Tom Chalamet, the mysterious twin brother of Tim, like, taking his shit right now. Dude, push!
Bomber and its bunker buster bombs the U.S. would use to hit Iran's nuclear facilities.
All right, let's start, Joey, with the B-2, right? This is the only stealth bomber. It's the only plane that can carry this 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrator, or the MOP, as they call it, the bunker buster.
The MOP.
And you can see just how big it is.
Yo, my boy in the group chat was pointing out something hilarious to me. He was like, why do we call something like the bunker buster bomb, right? We call it a MOP. What is that, massive ordnance payload or some shit? We call it this crazy fucking giant name, right? Even though I understand it's a big explosion, but think about it for a second. The bunker buster coming from the B-2 is like, it's like the most targeted, tactical, like bomb you could drop. You know what I mean? It's very specialized. You need to be like the best pilot in the world to use it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a weirdly tactical thing. Precise. It's a weirdly precise thing to call a MOP. Meanwhile, we have the fucking audacity to call a 50,000 kiloton nuclear weapon a tactical nuke. What the fuck is tactical about a 50,000 kiloton nuke? You've got the audacity to call this thing a MOP because it's going to mop up the fucking floor. But you call the nuke a tactical nuke? What sort of fucking mind game is this? What sort of demented bullshit propaganda is that? You know what I'm saying? Or they call it the Moab, the mother of all bombs. Meanwhile, tactical nuke, and it's bigger. It's a mind game.
172-foot wingspan, and for anyone that's been to an air show and seen this, it's quite an impressive thing. Can fly up to 50,000 altitude, capable of mid-air refueling.
Yeah, and so you can also use a B-52, but this is the preferred aircraft because of its stealth, because this aircraft won't be seen coming.
All right, let's move here to the next thing, and that is, of course, it deploys the GBU-57 bomb. That's the bunker buster you can see here, and we're understanding that the B-2s can carry
50 kiloton.
2, possibly 3 of these.
Yeah,
each B-2 is going to carry 2, possibly 3.
I want to just point out real quick why it's important to use a stealth bomber to do this. A GBU stands for Guided Bomb Unit, which means that you have majority payload, and all it has in it is it has some fins and stabilizers that can be controlled with GPS, and it's the gravity, its trajectory while it falls. It doesn't propel itself. If it had a propulsion system on it...
Brother, this is the coolest shit I ever seen. And brother, why don't we send 16 of them? Brother, why don't we fucking turn Iran to Wendy's, brother?
Then it would be a guided missile. And the fact that it's a guided bomb means that the B-50 or the B-2 has to get a little bit closer to its target than shooting a guided missile from 2,000 miles away. So that stealth factor is really important for this bomb. It's actually not super advanced technology. A guided bomb was that first iteration of what we now have, hypersonic guided missiles. So it's really interesting as an EOD tech, you learn the characteristics of ordnance. Another thing a guided bomb has is it doesn't have to have another 20 feet of rocket propulsion fuel. You can have a bigger payload in your bomb.
Well, and you
can have a bigger payload in your bomb. Brother, how about for 1 second you consider the idea of not bombing Iran? What the fuck is Fox News doing? This is why I say it every fucking stream now. This is manufactured consent. I'm not kidding. I think that what they're doing here is showing this, and maybe tomorrow or the next day, they're going to start showing diagrams of a nuclear bomb like what would happen if we dropped a fucking tactical nuke on Fordo. And that way people are like, okay, well, if that's the alternative, use the B-2s. You know what I'm saying? Or the same thing if they were like, here's what a ground invasion would look like. Like, for example, all these people who are like, hey man, if we had invaded Japan, we would have lost around 1 million soldiers, right? We even made the Purple Hearts, right? Now, is that true? That's debatable. Hypothetical shit like that doesn't matter to me. But what is true is that the alternative was bombing them in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, dropping the A and the H bomb, right? That was how they manufactured consent. They were like, hey, we don't want to risk the lives of 1 million of our boys, do we? And it's like, all right, fine, then bomb them. It's not always black and white, but this is how you convince people that it truly is.
It's fascinating you raise that point, Joey. It's so important because I understand the military planners, when they're thinking about it, they start with the target.
Yeah.
Then they work backwards. So
what
let me
capabilities
just
do we
take us
need?
to how this is going to go, just to the point you were saying, the drop in the trajectory as it's got to go through not 1, but 2 layers.
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is we're being told this is, I think, anywhere from just shy of 200 to 300 feet in depth. There are all kind of reports out there of 1,000 foot, but I think that's more propaganda. So what you end up doing is, if you saw the movie, the latest Top Gun movie,
Oh, God.
eerily enough, this is that plot kind of coming to fruition in real life.
Oh,
it's not
God, brother. If you saw Top Gun, believe it or not, that's essentially what we're talking about here. So we do have Tom Cruise in one of these B-2 bombers, brother.
just one bomb. It'll be a bomb after a bomb to get through that penetration.
And just lastly, that's what you're talking about. Can penetrate up to 200 feet below the surface. And then, of course, we'll see it try and put the second one in there and go down.
Meanwhile, let me turn off the subtitles. You know where the fucking facility in Fordo is? Down here. This is 200 feet. Jack, the fucking facility is 300 feet. And that's according to our intelligence. What if it's not? What if it's 400 or 500 feet? Motherfucker, if this doesn't work, because they're doing it, if this doesn't work, Trump is going to look like a fucking buffoon and he's going to escalate. I don't even know what do you do? What do you do? Do you just keep on hitting it with bunker busters? What do we got that's bigger than that? A fucking Moab? A fucking nuke? Like, what are we doing?
In there. Yeah. Let's bring in David Burke, our Top Gun and former Top Gun instructor, retired U.S. Marine Corps officer. Now, David, I don't know how well we did that.
Guys, they're not even called Top Guns in real life. I'm pretty sure they're not. It's got a different name. Top Gun in real life. What are they called? What are they called? Is it actually called the Top Gun? Is it really called Top Gun? Oh my God. I thought it was called something else.
You know this better than anybody. Talk to us about, questions over whether or not this can successfully be done.
Joey Jones just crushed that explanation. You guys hit the nail on the head. So really well done. This absolutely can be done. There is not a cave in the world deep enough to defend itself against the American military if it needs to hit it. And
oh, you shouldn't have said that, because now if we don't get it, that's going to go viral.
You described the weapon system and the aircraft and the mating of that exactly right. Now, this is a hard problem to solve, but it is absolutely a solvable problem with this system.
David, when we talk about blast radius, frag radius, the overall footprint one of these bombs can have once it gets into the ground, how precise does it have to be? In other words, if it lands 50 feet from the target, is it still effective?
Yeah, 50 feet would be a pretty big miss for a weapon like this. Just like you described, that guided bomb unit has a really precise GPS system in the nose. It's going to get within a few feet, maybe a few meters of its target and penetrate really deep. It's that penetration that's going to cause the problem. So it's going to hit the target pretty much exactly where it wants. Yeah,
David, when you were just talking about that, I brought up another shot here, which is the approximate penetrative power. And it looks like, with a 30,000.
Oh, there it is. They're preparing for it to not work, brother. They are already preparing for this shit to not work and getting everybody ready for some sort of escalation. Look at this.
Bomb. You want to come in at about a 45-degree angle. What can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And like you alluded to, the bomb is this is a massive piece of equipment, 30,000 pounds, but only around 5,000 to 6,000 pounds of explosive. Most of that is the casing to do that penetration at that angle. And it is all calculated through a process we call weaponeering, which is figuring out the right point, the right angle, how far deep it needs to go, and then, of course, like you...
Are you talking about geometry and algebra right now, brother? It's a technique we call weaponeering. Are you talking about fucking aiming? Are you talking about aiming, you dumb fuck?
You described, do we put a second bomb behind that to open that initial penetration and detonate and really do the damage we need to that target?
David, if this is used, we don't use them very often. I know the Moab was used back in 2017 for the first time. Is there an example of using these in the past? Is there any precedent whatsoever?
Yeah, we used bunker busters in World War II, but I mean, they weren't these ones.
This would be an unprecedented use of that weapon in this situation from a penetration standpoint. We know the aircraft works. We know the weapon works. We have not done this in combat, but I can guarantee you, and I think you know this, our aircraft and our pilots and the systems have been trained to and practiced for years. They're ready for this mission.
Well, brother, do you understand what would happen if the Iranians shot down a B-2 bomber and got an American pilot? Brother, this is what happened in Vietnam. One of our planes got shot down before we were officially involved, and they took a pilot hostage. Happened a lot in Korea. Do you understand what the fuck would happen if they managed somehow with Russian or Chinese help to take down a B-2 bomber? That would be fucking unreal.
David, that was my final question in the few seconds we've got left. What's going through the minds of these pilots that may be flying these missions?
Probably speed, 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 boom, kill, speed, boom, kill, fly, 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 America, me, freedom, justice, me, freedom, justice. Like,
they're waiting for the word. I can promise you they are prepared. They're ready to go. They get that alert to launch, and they are completely capable of ready to go at a moment's notice. They're just ready for the execution now.
David, real quick answer. You've got the Air Force, the Navy. Who has the best fighter pilots?
Oh, God.
The Marine Corps.
There we go. Hoorah.
There we go. Hoorah, hoorah, hoorah. All right. Mahmoud Khalil released. All right. What to know about activist Mahmoud Khalil and his release from immigration detention. A Palestinian activist who participated in protests against Israel has been freed from federal immigration detention after 104 days. Mahmoud Khalil, who became a symbol of President Donald Trump's clampdown on campus protests, left a federal facility in Louisiana. I knew he was still there. The former Columbia University graduate is expected to head to New York and reunite with his United States citizen wife and infant son, born while Khalil was detained. So this fucking man missed the birth of his child, dog. So what is he, never met his son? That's crazy. Release granted. Khalil was released after U.S. District Judge Michael Farbiar said it would be, quote, highly, highly unusual for the government to continue detaining a legal U.S. resident who was unlikely to flee and hasn't been accused of any violence. Petitioner is not a flight risk, and the evidence presented is that he is not a danger to the community. Period, full stop. Meanwhile, the fucking United States government said that he was a terrorist. A terrorist. Fucking pieces of shit, dude. Oh, God. Justice prevailed, but it's very long overdue. This shouldn't have taken 3 months. So now we still got... Is Rumeja Ozturk released as well? Yeah, she was released. Mohez Mandami was released. Madawi. All right. Good. Listen. Better to be freed after 104 days than to not be freed. It's not like, listen... It's a sign that the courts still have power. It's a sign that Trump is not the king that he thinks he is yet. You know, there is still work to be done, but that's a good sign. Wait. There's no way Kyle and Schenk actually debated that hard. Oh, no.
Yesterday...
Dude, Richard Wolff is one of the smartest men alive. And if he's saying something big's coming, I'm going to trust him.
Xi Jinping, the head of the government in China, announced that the 53 countries of Africa will be allowed to export to China with 0 tariffs on any of them, on any product, at any time. That's a milestone. Look at the meaning.
Is he playing the fucking music from Interstellar? I think he fucking is. I can't listen to this, Robert. I mean, Richard. I can't. It's not even 60 seconds and you think you can explain it? Oh, let's see what they say.
Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is considered the most powerful person in Iran. For more than 3 decades, he has held a hardline grip on the country as its supreme leader. Khamenei sits above all other branches of government. He commands the armed forces, appoints the heads of the judiciary, state media, and key security agencies. He holds final authority over who can run for president, and he even oversees the country's nuclear program. The supreme leader is now facing his greatest challenge yet, the war with Israel. Israel says it has secured free reign over Iran's skies and claims that it's decimating the country's military leadership and nuclear program. It is also threatening Khamenei's life, with Israel's defense minister saying that he cannot continue to exist. In a video address on Wednesday, Khamenei sounded defiant and said that the Iranian nation is not one to surrender. He also said that if the US steps in, it will bring irreparable damage to them.
My boys are hilarious in the group chat. My boys are hilarious, I said. Hear about Pope Leo? No, what about him? What about him?
Breaking.
What the Trump administration is currently doing day by day throughout American cities is so vile and indefensible. Neighbors being chased and wrestled to the ground, folks being asked to show their papers, that Americans en masse are getting fed up. We've got some new data to show you today.
I use Streamlabs.
Take, for example, Los Angeles. This whole week was filled with masked, heavily armed officers of ICE and Border Patrol.
Can I point out, bro, none of this shit is matching. Like, none of this stuff is regulation. I genuinely believe these are the Proud Boys. I think that these are the Proud Boys. And, like, I have no proof of this, but I don't think these are actual ICE agents. None of these guys are wearing, like, actual federal gear, and anybody can buy this shit. Look at them. Look at them.
Tonight. Take, for example, Los Angeles.
Look at this shit, dude. None of this shit is matching.
The whole week was filled.
ICE, what is that? NSI. It looks like makeshift LARPing.
With masked, heavily armed officers.
Look at the shiesty!
Of ICE and Border Patrol rolling up on flea markets, Home Depot parking lots, Walmarts, even Dodger Stadium in search of immigrants to arrest. In fact, there has been no unrest in LA for over a week, none whatsoever. And yet Trump still has thousands of Marines and National Guard soldiers patrolling the streets. Today, Trump was gloating over an appellate court decision that for now allows him to continue to deploy California's National Guard to LA over the repeated objections of Governor Gavin Newsom. Also today, Vice President J.D. Vance traveled to L.A. to take his tour of the city. This is, a week and a half or more after the burning of the Waymos that precipitated the sending in the troops.
The burning of the Waymos.
Guy, you'll remember, spread the lie that migrants in Ohio were eating animals off the street last year. And he used his remarks moments ago to spread the lie that California is a leftist rogue state that deserves the police state treatment.
We have a public official in Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, who over the past few years have actively encouraged illegal migration into this community. I landed, when I saw this city, when I was driving through to come to this FBI building, all I could think about is what a great American city Los Angeles is, and what a great tragedy it is that we have allowed illegal immigration and rioting to destroy, I think, one of the great gems of the American family.
Oh, really? That's what went through your head as you drove in your huge security cordon to go to the FBI building 2 weeks after some people burned a few Waymos? Thanks for that profound take on LA, Mr. Vice President. By the way,
I also love how, like, we're pretending, like, they're pretending like LA burnt down. This is the same thing about, like, Portland. You know, like, this is like a weird thing that the right does where they claim that cities burnt down, and then you see, like, AI-generated footage of it burning and, like, AI-generated protests where they're pretending like things are so much worse. I actually think Fox News may be terrorist propaganda, and, like, the whole point is to cause a civil war. You know what I'm saying? Is he going to call him Jose Padilla? Or no shot. You're talking about Alex Padilla.
Amazing moment. He called the senator from California, Alex Padilla, Jose Padilla.
No
today
fucking
that press
shot. You pre-watch Andy.
Conference. Also took no questions from local reporters. Mayor Karen Bass is expected to respond to the vice president at a press conference in this hour. We'll tell you what she says when that happens. But here's the thing.
Wait, did you say ice jacket interview? My brother said something about that. What did you want me to say?
Go.
What? Can you even search? I don't know. Ice guy jacket interview. Videos. Oh, you gotta log in for that shit? Go fuck yourself. I'm not logging in. Is this it? This is 3 months ago. Is this it?
Do you actually work for ICE?
No, not at all. Nope.
Explain the outfit.
It's $29.99 on Amazon. I would recommend buying a small if you're my size. This one's a little too loose for my liking. But yeah, if you want some entertainment, wear this and go to a Home Depot in a sanctuary city like where I live right now, Washington, D.C., and you'll see all the illegals. Not all of them, but you can maybe see a lot of them start to run away. And you feel like a group fitness instructor. It's really...
One, I'm frankly certain that's a crime. Two, look at how short this guy is. Three, that is the most beta behavior I've ever seen. Four, I guarantee you this man has never felt the warmth of a woman. And five, I guarantee this guy spends every night cruising through the streets, swiping right on Grindr. Guaranteed, this man is so far in the closet, he is finding Christmas presents in July. A power bottom, if I've ever seen it.
It's really good.
And you actually think that's funny?
I think it's hilarious. Absolutely. What's not funny is them illegally...
There you have it, everybody. One of the worst people I've seen here at CPAC, and that's saying something. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's actually that's an inferior being. That is an inferior being, right? That's crazy. It's crazy. That's somebody who must have been raised by dogs.
To put it simply, what the Trump administration is doing right now, what Stephen Miller and Donald Trump are doing is gross. And it's also not working. Because what they're attempting is a kind of confidence game to mask the weakness of what they're doing. Because guess what? People hate this. I mean, J.D. Vance, one of the most cravenly cynical figures I've ever seen in American life, loves to spend a lot of time congratulating himself for looking out for the interests of U.S. citizens, while his straw men foes allegedly don't care about Americans. But what have we seen in L.A., really, Mr. Vice President? We've seen video after video of American citizens and their
Here's the
friends
thing,
and their
Seymour.
family and
Here's
their
the thing, Seymour. These people are not inferior because of something they were born with, the way that the Nazis would apply that. These people are inferior because of the choices they make. That is not the same thing as, oh, this guy is born black, he's inferior. This guy's born Jewish, he's inferior. No. That's bullshit. Okay, everybody's born equally, but we do not depart equally. When you make decisions like that, like putting on an ice jacket and going to a Home Depot and just impersonating a federal officer to scare migrants, that makes you less than me. It does. It does. It means if you believe in Judgment Day, if you believe in that when you die you go to the pearly gates and you get judged, you think St. Peter's gonna let you in when he pulls up the clip and goes, hey, what's this? Of that? What's your... hey, come on! They were here illegally. Illegally? Brother, you think you own the land? You think you own the land? Somebody put Finian Lobar in a fucking timeout for 40 minutes. He's so fucking annoying.
Neighbors, the people that are part of American citizens' lives being ordered to present their papers and being grabbed and wrestled to the ground and detained, including elected officials. That guy, Alex Padilla, not Jose, Mr. Vice President. And we keep seeing Americans non-violently confronting those masked, armed agents wherever they go. Like employees of a Walmart that was raided in LA County on Tuesday.
Oh, I posted
One
this.
of them recorded his colleague, again, a U.S. citizen.
I showed you this.
Right? An American, in good standing, Mr. Vance, getting shoved, then swarmed, and then arrested for allegedly punching the masked agents who swarmed him.
What is he doing? He's a hard working boy. Hey, we're taking this little. I'm giving this. Good chill. I'm not doing. Hey, what the? Who you got me?
Yeah, these are Nazis.
This is my civil right. I can record you if I want.
Yeah, these are Nazis. That's not ICE. I mean, yes, they're ICE, but like these are Nazis. Those are Nazis. Those are Nazis.
Look. Put it in the car. Put it in the car. Hey, these are illegal citizens, you pieces of.
These are Nazis.
Put it in the car. Put it in the car. Hey, what the is wrong with you guys? Look.
Now, what?
Those are Nazis, guys. You just watched a video of Nazis in the United States kidnap somebody, and it was legal. It was legal.
ICE wants you to believe is that the unarmed man in the blue vest was the aggressor in that video, in that incident, not the dozens of heavily armed men in war camo, okay? Even the Los Angeles Fox affiliate pointed out the Walmart security video showed no punches. And we've seen more scenes like this, scene that nearly replicated in a raid at the Hollywood Home Depot.
Come on, get back on the sidewalk! You guys have no rights.
Bounty hunters only, not real. You guys have to identify yourself, who you are.
They're coming to us, so we're over here.
I don't want you
to. You guys
coming
Look at him wearing his blue jeans.
Yeah, I know, but we're coming.
These are volunteers.
You know what? Americans have a right to do that in this free country. American citizens have a right to do that. They have a right to not be roughed up by masked men holding long guns. You know, even the country's most popular pro-Trump podcaster, Joe Rogan, much has been made about his support for Donald Trump during the campaign, made a pretty important point this week that American voters, the vast majority of them, did not vote for this.
Yes,
if
they did.
The Trump administration, if they're running and they said, we're going to go to Home Depot and we're going to arrest all the people at Home Depot, we're going to go to construction sites and we're going to just like tackle people at constructions, I don't think anybody would sign up for that.
I'm going to crash the fuck out. Donald Trump said he was going to do the largest deportation campaign in American history. He said there were between 11 and 20 million people that needed to be deported. I screamed from the fucking mountains that the only way you could detain that many people was to deploy the United States military into our fucking streets and throw these people into concentration camps with no due process. And do you know what Donald Trump did? That exact same fucking thing. Sure, he only deployed the National Guard and the Marines to California, but he created a private police force. Yes, ICE existed already, but this is the Gestapo. This is paying $30,000 so that fucking Nazis from the Proud Boys can sign up to go tackle a brown guy and force him at gunpoint into a fucking van and ship him off to CCOT. We warned you. So what do you mean that nobody would have voted for this if we knew? When the left, such as myself, fucking knew and was trying to tell you. Oh, goddamn, fuck you, chat. I need you to chant bald right now. We need to remind this man that he is bald immediately. Ready, aim, fire!
They said we're going to get rid of the criminals and the gang members first, right? And now we're seeing like Home Depots get raided. Like that's crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, that's what Stephen Miller wants. He wants to construct a police
ceasefire,
state
ceasefire,
so as to
ceasefire.
abduct, incarcerate, and
Luigi.
deport 13 million people. And yet, despite all the protests from every part of the political spectrum, Trump's Border Patrol is making propaganda videos of its armed agents locking and loading for warfare in full military fatigues and body armor mass to raid a suburban flea market and ask patrons
Instagram
where they
app
are from.
Border Patrol? What? They're making ads? No way. No fucking shot. No shot. Is this gonna have? This is gonna have all copyrighted music, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
I don't see how you can hate from outside of the club.
Oh my god, my fucking dumbass friends are liking this. That's the one I always tell you about, the one who's a fucking idiot.
Again, the administration thinks all this plays to Trump's strengths. I mean, you can see, like, Stephen Miller, like, popping a vein in his head of how much he enjoys this. Yet, get this, ready? Trump's polling on immigration. Historically, one of his strongest issues, genuinely a huge strength during the campaign, there's no question. It's nosediving. Quinnipiac poll earlier this month showed Trump underwater by 11 points on immigration. 54% disapprove. And when you narrow the question down to Trump's deportation policy, the numbers are even worse for him. He is underwater by 16 points. Those polls were taken before Trump moved Marines and National Guard into Los Angeles. But every major poll since then, from NBC News, from Reuters, shows the same trend. Voters are rejecting Trump's police state.
Are going to expect President Trump to arrive back in D.C. after leaving for New Jersey yesterday.
Trump, why are you in Jersey, dog? Excuse me. Trump is so fucking stupid. Thank you for the $2. And real quick, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it helps me immensely. And always remember, this is what real independent media looks like. I have no funding, so you'll always hear my real opinion. So if you want to support the channel, you could donate, you can become a member, you can become a patron, you could do anything that you got to do. You could buy merch, all that jazz. All that jazz. Let's see what other breaking news we got right now. All right, let's see. Chris, will there be impeachment at midterms? Doesn't matter. Even if he's impeached, he's not going to be removed from office. Let's see what Wikipedia says about this shit. They say it began in the 1950s with U.S. support, expanded in the 70s, plans for power reactors, paused after the Iranian Revolution, resumed secretly in the 80s, in the 90s, pursued full nuclear cycle. Fordo revealed in 2009. 2003, Iran suspends its formal nuclear weapons program.
We're going to find out pretty soon, I guess.
Thanks, Percy.
Mr. President, the Iranian foreign minister this afternoon said if the U.S. is serious about negotiations, that you would call up Israel and request that they stop.
It's not so easy.
Will you make that request?
Well, I think it's very hard to make that request right now. If somebody's winning,
Put Douglas in the corner for a
to
couple
do
of
than
minutes for being
somebody's
anti-Semitic.
but we're ready, willing, and able, and we've been speaking to Iran, and we'll see what
Half
happens.
an hour.
Mr. President, what was the thought process behind the 2-week timetable? Just time to see whether or not people come to their senses. Mr. President, in the European...
Breaking news on your screen right now. Mahmoud Khalil, who has been...
It is day 152 of the second Trump administration and week 1 of the war between Israel and Iran. Earlier today, the president spoke to reporters and said Iran could have a nuclear weapon within months or even weeks. Watch this.
What intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point.
Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. Who in the intelligence community said that?
Your director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
She's wrong.
But the president also said he still wants to be a peacemaker. When asked about his 2-week deadline on a possible U.S. strike, Trump said he's giving Iran a period of time and 2 weeks would be the maximum. My colleague Andrea Mitchell spoke to the Iranian foreign minister about that looming threat earlier today. Watch this.
I think it's up to, Americans, the United States, to show their determination for
Thanks to the $10. What you do, sacrifice a lot for
a negotiated solution. We were in the middle of diplomacy when Israel attacked us. They had perhaps this plan in their mind, and they just needed negotiations, perhaps. to cover it up. We don't know how we can trust them anymore. What they did was, in fact, a betrayal to diplomacy. There are sayings by President Trump, his tweets, his interviews, who is clearly saying that we have done this. Obviously, and very clearly is saying that the United States is leading this war. So as far as we are concerned, the U.S. is complicit to this.
Of course we are. We're the ones fucking funding Israel. We're the ones who greenlighted the attack. We're the ones shooting down Iranian drones. Who the fuck do you think is piloting those F-35s? Israelis?
Officials also gathered in Geneva today to press Tehran on both its nuclear program and the possibility of a diplomatic path to end the conflict. But Iran made it absolutely clear there will be no negotiations as long as strikes with Israel continue, and we all know they have. Today, a fresh round of Israeli strikes targeted western Iran, while retaliatory strikes hit southern Israel. All right, let's bring in our nightcap. It is an excellent group tonight. Pulitzer Prize winner and NBC national security editor David Rode joins us. CNBC senior analyst and my dear friend Ron Insana, Eddie Glaude, Princeton professor and MSNBC contributor, and Tim Miller.
$2. You think I'd let this happen? I do. I do think you'd let this happen.
Work where he is.
I think you just want to see the world burn, Percy.
24/7. The amount of content this man is putting out is extraordinary. And former communications director for Republican Jeb Bush. All right, David, educate us here. Israel said it is prepared for a prolonged campaign against Iran. How long is prolonged in your mind?
2 weeks. I'm using President Trump's terminology there.
It's also the thing, Israel is notorious for fighting very short wars. I know that what you're seeing in Gaza says differently, but that's not a war. That's a genocide. They're fighting against fucking children. But Israel does not have the wherewithal to, like, stay in a war for longer than a year, really. That's why Israel's notorious for, like, the 7-day war or, like, 2-week combat. You know, like, the Israeli Air Force goes in, bombs the ever-loving fuck out of the enemy, and then they come home. Because Israel is so small. Israel is surrounded by enemies. Israel cannot withstand this level of an attack for longer than, to be frank, a month.
I don't think the Israelis expected Trump to do this. I think they wanted a quick and decisive victory. So this is, Trump has thrown a curveball, as he often does, without a clear end in sight. So I don't see this extending beyond several weeks, but I do think, I think the Israelis will continue to carry out strikes, but, I think they're unsure what to do in the wake of Trump setting this 2-week deadline so unexpectedly.
But that's sort of exactly it. It seemed like Netanyahu thought he had Trump convinced. But the Israeli military can't destroy this nuclear site on its own. It needs the U.S. military. So aren't they sort of boxed into a corner if you're Israel?
No, they have a nuke.
Yes, I mean, they were relying on the B-2 bombers, this American bunker buster to hit Fordo. That's the most important nuclear site in Iran. It hasn't been damaged yet. It's, there's enriched uranium buried under a mountain there, and it's this U.S. weapon that could possibly penetrate that site and destroy it. So Israel doesn't have those weapons. And there's an element here, though, of unpredictability in the next 2 weeks, in that it's, maybe Bibi is talking about possibly trying to strike Fordo with the weapons, the jets and the bombs that Israel has. There's pressure on Iran to continue firing ballistic missiles at Israel. How many defensive missiles does Israel have to keep fending off these Iranian attacks? So I don't think there's a pause here, but the situation is not any more stable than it was before Trump put out this 2-week deadline.
Ron, we heard from a whole bunch of voices this week, those who want the U.S. to take action, that strikes will be quick. But don't we always hear that? You covered the invasion of Iraq, and I feel like that was the message we heard then, and look where that got us.
Steph, you're absolutely right. The only time it was true was repelling Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait in 1991. It was a 48-day war. He capitulated, surrendered, moved back into Iraq, withdrew his troops, set oil fields on fire as he left. But that was the fastest military experience we've had in the Middle East. If you look at both Afghanistan and Iraq after 9/11. Those were multi-year engagements. There were attempts at regime change and nation building, which obviously didn't go well. And so the question here, as is true with most, I think, policies emanating from the Trump administration, is what exactly is the end game? Can you destroy Iran's nuclear capability with one bunker buster bomb? And then it's doubtful, from everything that I've read, it would take multiples just to incapacitate for a period of time that Fordo nuclear enrichment facility. So it's very difficult to say what happens here. And if anyone is contemplating regime change, we all know about the difficulties there. It's not done by air, it's done on the ground. And I'm not sure, with 92 million people in Iran, that's a war that the United States really wants to involve itself in.
Brother, if we fucking sent boots on the ground to Iran, it would make Iraq look like a fucking child's birthday party. It would make the invasion of Kandahar look like a fucking, I don't even know, like a bar mitzvah. Like, dead ass. You think you can invade Iran with boots on the ground? Are you out of your fucking mind? You wouldn't be fighting door to door. You'd be fighting inch to inch.
Did you add the 92 million people because you know Ted Cruz likes to watch? Tim, what do you think about all of the above?
I noticed that Ron got a good friend in the intro, so mostly I'm going to invite you out to drinks next time I'm in New York so I can get upgraded for the next intro.
It's just a way to remind you that there's room for improvement, so here you go. You're on.
Good to know. Good to know. I mean, look, the thing, I was talking to Dan Shapiro, who is Biden's ambassador, or excuse me, is Obama's ambassador to Israel and Biden's Middle Eastern advisor, who's supportive of the strikes. And we were kind of hashing out this very question of, like, could it be?
What are you talking about, bro?
Be quick, because there's an element to this where there is a single objective, right? Going after the nuclear
Shatters
sites.
are going insane
but
now.
The thing that is, I think, nagging in the head of some of us who are watching this is, do we really trust Bibi to want it to be quick? And there's been a lot of rhetoric coming out of Israel, kind of Bibi and his advisors, about how this might be a moment for regime change. They've been unbelievably successful. You have to acknowledge that, taking out military leaders in Iran and in Hezbollah. And so, like, there might be a temptation to say, let's just this might be the opportunity to finish the job, and then you get into a much expanded conflict. And then on top of that, you have Donald Trump over here in our country, who is completely erratic, who does not seem to be decisive in this situation at all. And you could imagine him, wanting to not get involved at all.
Chatter's going schizo. U.S. Navy patent aims to reduce an object's resistance to acceleration by manipulating quantum field fluctuations in the local vacuum energy state. U.S. 20170313446A1, United States 2016-0428 application file from the U.S. Department of the Navy. Listen, brother, it's not that I don't believe we got crazy shit, but you got to understand, you sound nuts, right? You know you sound nuts. You got to know you sound nuts.
You can also imagine him feeling like he wants to be a winner. You can imagine him bungling us into the war. I just think that there's a very wide berth of options, of possibilities right now, and a lot of them are rife with risk.
Erratic is kind of exactly what I want to zero in on, because while the president...
Let's see how Fox is covering this shit. Malenti sounding like a fucking humble lord.
Your support keeps us growing, and we're eternally grateful. If you have the capability, $1, $2, $5, or $10 will help us build out the tech and the setup and keep Chris's capability to do this daily.
Israeli ambassador to the United Nations.
And they call me a fearmonger. Iran will turn missile towards Europe and then Manhattan.
Nations, Danny Danon, speaking out on Iran's attacks at the UN on Friday. Take a listen.
Iran has proven its ability to strike strategic targets with accuracy. This was a deliberate act.
Real quick, before we do watch this, Para. It's not that I don't believe that the United States or that other governments have like insanely complex and futuristic, maybe even alien technology. But if you genuinely believe that that information is public and that you have access or you are privy to that information, you are insane. Thank you for the $1 donation, Logan. We are civilians, brother. We are not privy to that information.
Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, Danny Danon, speaking out on Iran's attacks at the UN on Friday. Take a listen.
Iran has proven its ability to strike strategic targets with accuracy. This was a deliberate act. It is a blatant violation of international law, a war crime, and a calculated attempt to murder the most vulnerable. Let this council understand what that missile really signified. That no one is safe. That if Iran will target a hospital with a ballistic missile, it will target anyone, anywhere, with anything they have.
Motherfucker, you destroyed all 36 hospitals in Gaza. You blew up the entire health department, the entire medical department of Gaza. And you have the audacity to claim that because you hid your soldiers underneath the hospital, because you are using human shields, that Iran is not only going to create a nuke, but they're going to nuke Manhattan and Europe? Brother, who the fuck is falling for this shit?
Today it was Beersheba. Tomorrow it could be Brussels. Soon it could be Boston. Iran is rapidly expanding its ballistic missile arsenal.
We have seen diplomatic talks for the last few decades, and look at the results. So, if there will be a genuine effort to dismantle the capabilities of Iran, then that's something we can consider. But it is going to be like another session and debates. That's not going to work.
Explain the situation.
Let's bring in now Ophir Akunis. He is the Consul General of Israel here in New York. Sir, I'm so glad you were able to be here today.
Thank you for having me. It's very important to reflect the truth about the current situation in the Middle East.
Well, I want to get your insight. We just listened to the General Petraeus, giving his insights into what it could mean for the United States to join this conflict in a more forward military posture. Your thoughts on what he had to say?
First of all, we will not take decisions for the American administration.
You say look up the Nixon clip about Israelis. Does he have a funny one? We're going to go back to that video, don't worry. What is it, like a hot mic? Do you know which one it is? It's an interview. First one.
Their belief is that being for Israel first means that does not mean you're putting America second, because they think it goes together. An American president, however, has to approach it in a different way, in my opinion. He's got always to think first of what is best for America. Usually, what is best for America is also best for Israel and vice versa. On occasions, an American president must make a decision that does not, in effect, give the Israelis a blank check. And one example of that is a decision that I made. I decided early on in our administration that we were going to seek good relations with Egypt and others of Israel's neighbors. Many of my Israeli friends didn't like that because they wanted a special relationship with Israel and Israel only. But I have always said Israel's interests are better served to have the United States a friend of Israel's neighbors and potential enemies than to leave a vacuum which the Soviet Union would fill. I still believe that, and I think that should be American policy today.
You know that hell has frozen over when Richard Nixon sounds correct. You know hell has frozen over when Richard Nixon's foreign policy is better than the current foreign policy.
For the American people. But I want to remind you all that from 1979, the Ayatollahs, the Iranian regime, they are saying death to Israel, death to America. And I think that this is the main point. They want this place. They are talking about the small Satan. It's Israel. Now they are targeting hospitals, kindergarten.
I gotta pull up this. This is one of my favorite fucking clips. Hold on. This is so fucking funny, bro.
Hello, I'm the United States. And I'm Israel. With you behind me, I can do whatever I want. Well, I want you. Take me. No, this is wrong. We both have the same father, Satan. I don't care. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, Judeo-Christian false God. Hello, I'm the United States.
Judeo-Christian false God. That's the funniest fucking part. Oh, Judeo-Christian false God.
Civilians on Tel Aviv, Beersheba, as we just heard, Haifa. By the way, they hit yesterday a mosque in Haifa, a Muslim mosque in the city of Haifa in the north. So there's
you want to know why they hit the Muslim mosque in Haifa? Because you're not using your interceptors around Muslim areas. The Israelis already said, oh, we're running low on our interceptors, so we're going to have to prioritize some areas over others. Do you know what areas are being prioritized? The Jewish areas, the ethnic areas, not the areas that are covered with Muslims, not the areas that have Christians, not the areas that have refugees. No, only the primarily Jewish areas of Israel, because as we all know, Israel is an apartheid regime. Now play the Nixon clip from Bohemian Grove. What are we talking about? Nixon at Bohemian Grove? No shot. Nixon, Bohemian... Nixon at Bohemian Grove. Content warning, bad words. How bad?
Let's look at Northern California. You understand? You know what's happened in San Francisco just gone. It's clear over. I know that, but it isn't just down in the ratty part of town. But the upper class in San Francisco is that way. The Bohemian Grove that I attend from time to time, the Easterners and the others that come there. But it is the most faggy goddamn thing you will ever imagine in San Francisco crowd, because it's just terrible. I mean, I don't want to shake hands with anybody in San Francisco.
Is that it? Is that it? That's the whole thing? I was expecting much worse. You guys made that seem like it was going to be much worse.
Small Satan, and the big Satan is you, my American friends. And I want you to know it. They want to destroy us. And I'm talking about the United States of America, the state of Israel, and in the middle, Europe.
Yeah. You know, we've been watching this big uptick in military assets, U.S. military assets, joining there in the Middle East. In defense of Israel, we've been working to head off some of the missiles. Sadly, some of these missiles have struck there in Israel, tragically. How do you think that posture matters? Does that send a message to Iran, and will they get that message?
I don't think so. I must be honest with you. We gave them a chance. 60 days. According to the President of the United States decision, to negotiate with those Ayatollahs, with the Iranian regime. They said no. 2 days before we...
Brother, you didn't tell them that they had 60 days before you were going to bomb them. You have to set the timetable of a negotiation. You can't secretly say, I'm going to give them 60 days before I bomb them. And then when I bomb them, I'm going to say, hey, we gave you 60 days. They're going to go, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? You didn't tell us shit.
Launched the operation. They said,
I'll check it out.
We will not do nothing with our nuclear sites and with our ballistic, they said it, of course, with our ballistic missiles. But I want you to understand that their ballistic missiles toward Tel Aviv now, or other places around the state of Israel, it's just the beginning. What's the reason that the Iranian regime wants intercontinental ballistic missiles? They don't need intercontinental ballistic missiles to hit Tel Aviv. They can use the ordinary ballistic missiles to hit Tel Aviv. They want their ballistic missile, intercontinental ballistic missiles, to use them, first of all, as I said, toward Europe, and then toward Manhattan. That's what they want. But I want to be clear with you. They are saying it. They are saying it very honestly. It's we, the Ayatollahs, the Iranian regime versus the Western world. We don't want your values. We don't want your democracy. We don't want your freedom here in Manhattan or in California, Florida, or in Canada, or even in the United Kingdom. They want their ideas all around the world, and they're saying it, as I said, from 1979. You know what we learned?
You know, every single accusation from the Israelis is a confession. The Israelis are the ones who want their ideology spread around the entire fucking world. There's a reason why the Israeli lobby, AIPAC, is infected like every single fucking nation on planet Earth. Dude, the Israelis somehow have control of almost every federal government on planet Earth. It's insane. And then they blame the Arab world for everything that they're fucking doing. What are we talking about?
From the history, that when a fascist regime saying that he wants to destroy you, you better believe them.
And I do. You're a fascist regime, and you say that you want to destroy Iran. You want to assassinate the Ayatollah. You want regime change. You have nuclear weapons that you will not disclose. It is insane. You could play the same exact clips that they say, that the Israelis say about Iran, but every single thing is true about themselves. It's the most deranged shit I've ever seen. It's like you live in a fucking Black Mirror episode.
And I think that Israel now is in the same situation like United Kingdom. I'm talking about May 1940.
Oh my God, they're comparing the United Kingdom to the Blitz. I mean, they're comparing Israel to the Blitz.
This is May 1940. Israel, for now, we are standing alone against the Iranian regime.
We're not standing alone. You never stand alone. The United States is standing with you like we fucking always do.
And our people must find a place to protect themselves in the shelters, just like London in 1940.
Yeah. When you talk about alone, there's this very sensitive period right now. The president has said 2 weeks. We don't know necessarily that if a strike does come from the U.S. that it will be sooner than 2 weeks. And that's not a final deadline. It seems to be a window of opportunity for Iran. However, they haven't changed their posture over the course of multiple negotiations, 5, 6 rounds, direct and indirect, regarding what they're willing to do, what they're willing to give up. What do you make of this opportunity that's been handed to Iran that's ticking? The clock is ticking right now.
I will say we are not believe them. We are not believe the Iranian regime and the Ayatollahs, because they say time after time after time, we'll keep our nuclear sites, we'll keep our nuclear abilities, we want to use them. By the way, I saw the map, it's still here. You can see Yemen here. Yemen, there is no territorial debate between Israel and Yemen, and they want to smuggle their nuclear bomb, one nuclear bomb, to Yemen through the Persian Gulf.
They don't have nuclear bombs, bro. Iran does not have nuclear bombs. What the fuck, dude?
Fire the nuclear bomb, one bomb state. Israel is a one bomb state toward Israel. So I don't believe them. My suggestion to my beloved American people, really, and I'm really admire the American society and the American culture. Don't believe them. They are liars and they are cruel, and they will not miss the opportunity to fire their ballistic missiles. First of all, they're doing it toward Israel, then toward the Western world in the whole.
And part of these.
Bro, do you see that? Hold on, let me go back. This is what I've been saying, bro. Like, you thought the Arab Spring was bad, bro? You're about to witness the fucking Arab Summer, dude. Fucking Hezbollah, Hamas, Shiite militias, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Like, bro, Donald Trump is uniting the Arab world in its fucking hatred of Western imperialism and oil wars. We had Donald Trump in the fucking tarmac yesterday when he was talking about the Iraq war. He goes, I was always against the Iraq war. I said, listen, if you're going to go in, at least get the oil. What the fuck, bro? You're admitting that on the world stage when people were getting like fucking exiled from news sources by claiming that the war in Iraq was all about oil and that there were no WMDs back in 2006. You know, not to be rude, but how do you know without a doubt that they don't have nukes? Brother, they've been saying that they were. They have been claiming that the Iranians were 2 weeks from having a nuclear weapon since the year 1979, dude. Since the year 1979. If Iran has been working on getting a nuke since 1979 and they've been 2 weeks away from getting it, why don't they have it? Why don't they have it?
Says, first of all, they're doing it toward Israel, then toward the Western Wall.
I've seen the clip. We rolled the clip a million times. We've rolled the clip a million fucking times.
Is to work towards getting them to give up this power that they have across the Middle East and across these proxies, as you mentioned, including...
They literally banned the IAEA? No, they didn't. The IAEA has been reporting in Iran this entire time up until 9 fucking days ago when Israel bombed them. That's why the IAEA came out and said that there are increased radiation levels in the underground facilities because the bombs have been destroying enriched uranium, and now there's fucking enriched uranium vapor leaking out of these facilities, dog. What the fuck are you talking about?
In Yemen.
This is a very, very important map because on this map we can see how they built their abilities from 1979. First of all, in Lebanon, with Hezbollah, then with Hamas. We will never forget October 7th, never forget October 7th massacre, and of course, in Yemen lately. So my suggestion is not to believe the Ayatollahs and the Iranian regime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for your time.
Ophir Kunis, thank you for coming in. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kill.
Let's bring in the Foreign Desk Editor-in-Chief, Lisa Daftari, and United Against Nuclear Iran founder and CEO, Ambassador Mark Wallace. Thank you both for coming on. Ambassador, you first. Trump.
All week long, we've been talking to experts on Iran's nuclear program, its leadership, and on U.S. foreign policy.
There is no need to enrich beyond 5%, and Iran is. Anything past 5% enrichment is for weapons. They've been claiming that since 1979, dog. Since 1979, I have heard. I'm 27 years old, bro. My entire existence, people like you have been claiming that Iran is 2 weeks from having a nuclear weapon. Since the moment I was born, dog. Since the moment I was born. I don't believe it.
Trump weighs entering the war. But speaking directly to people inside Iran is nearly impossible right now as the regime clamps down on communications and spreads fear in communities. Tonight, we're joined from Los Angeles by Nazanin Boniadi. She's an actress and a human rights...
And also, let me say one other thing, brother. Let me ask a question to whoever it is who keeps on saying this. Do you think it's okay for the United States to have nuclear weapons, but not okay for Iran to have nuclear weapons? Is that your belief?
Activist focused on Iran, where she was born and which her family fled after the 1979 revolution. Nazanin, welcome back to the NewsHour. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Anna.
So let's talk about the people of Iran at this moment when they're facing both Israeli airstrikes and a weakened, oppressive regime many of them have tried to rise up against in the past. What do you hear from people you talk to? What are they telling you?
There's a paradox inside Iran. There's a deep sense of despair because the Iranians are caught between foreign firepower and a regime that simply doesn't care about them. They would soon see that the people burn and die and
you support
lives
theocracy?
destroyed.
No, I don't support any theocracies or ethno-states, like Israel being a Jewish ethno-state that is practicing an apartheid regime. Don't support them. Don't support Iran. They're a fucking Muslim ethno-state. Don't support them. I don't support the Vatican. That's a Christian ethno-state. The difference between these nations is that Israel has a fucking nuclear arsenal. Israel is a nuclear arsenal, dog. Yes, Israel's bad doesn't mean Iran is good. Who the fuck said Iran is good? Do you think that the solution to Iran's domestic policies, domestic problems, is to bomb them? Keldo, do you believe that the solution to Iran's Islamic regime, their piss poor treatment of gays and women, do you think the solution is to bomb them? Is that what you think? No? Then what the fuck are you arguing for? Why are you defending Israel? Why are you defending our B-2 bombers going in there? Do you think bombing Iran is going to just cause some successful regime change and the people are going to rise up and they're going to fucking take over? Because guess what we're watching, brother? Do you want to see how the Iranian people are reacting to this shit? Do you want to see how the Iranian people... Why are you defending a theocracy having a nuke? Holy fucking shit. Are you mentally stunted? I don't think any nation on earth should have nuclear weapons. You are okay with Israel and the United States having them. But you're like, oh no, we can't let Iran have them. Nobody should have a fucking nuclear weapon. Here's what Tehran looks like right now, bro. Here's how the fucking world is. Here's how they're reacting.
WW3 joins me now. Admiral, first of all, what do you make of a protest?
Israel, we saw them burn American flags and burn Israeli flags.
This is what happens when you fucking bomb these people. It escalates. It gets worse.
Punch the United States and Israel in the mouth, he says. Trump, you are threatening my leader, this woman says. Don't you know my nation believes death is sweeter than honey? What do you have, Israel? He says. You have nothing. You are occupiers, unreligious. You're killing people, killing women. You kill everyone. You're terrorists.
China says they already have them and Iran doesn't. Why would you want an area of the world to have more nukes? I don't want anybody to have nukes. Are you listening to the words coming out of my mouth? I don't want any nation on earth to have nuclear weapons. Do you hear that?
So you can see that anger here being voiced by many of the folks who are walking here in this protest, whereas the Iranian government has said that as long as
but in practice that is what you are saying. No. Use your fucking ears, dipshit. I think every nation on earth should denuclearize. I also don't think the solution to Iran's domestic problems is to fucking bomb them. That's not the solution.
Please continue their bombing campaign of sites here in Iran. There will be Iranian missiles flying towards Israeli territory. They're calling on President Trump to try and end this direct confrontation. Otherwise, they say, there could be a direct military confrontation between Iran and the United States. The Iranians say it's not something they want, but they also say it's something that they're ready for. Fred Pleitgen, CNN, Tehran.
This is what happens when you bomb a nation. They come together. They don't rise up against their leader. What do you think happened after Pearl Harbor? The entire United States fucking united. This is what happened in Ukraine. The entire Ukrainian people united. This is what happens when you bomb a fucking nation. You do not de-escalate the conflict. You escalate the conflict. It doesn't take a fucking genius to figure this shit out. Genuinely. And look, if you want peace, I mean, the fucking Iranian foreign minister said that they're not doing any negotiations while bombs are still falling on Iran. Like, come on, dude. Get with it.
Breaking tonight, as mentioned, Vice President J.D. Vance is in Los Angeles.
At the beginning of the administration, the idea was worse first, right? Targeting the worst of the worst criminals.
Sure.
You guys are still doing that, but we're also starting to see Home Depots getting hit, car washes, agriculture workers. Is the net widening?
Yes, we're focusing on the most violent criminals. We're focusing on people who came here illegally over the Biden administration. But put simply, if you came into the country illegally, if you're not a legal resident of the United States of America, you ought to go back home and come through proper channels.
So basically, it's what Tom Homan has said repeatedly. If you're in the U.S. illegally, you're on the table.
If you're in the U.S. illegally, you are at risk of deportation.
What's your metric for determining how long the military is going to be here in Los Angeles? Things are calm right now. Are you going to keep them here for a while in case there's more activity? When do you pull them out?
Well, I think what the president says, you got to do this case by case, right? See how this goes, see where we are in a few days, ensure that you don't have the increase in rioting activity. We're going to pull out the troops when we feel confident that level of instability is not going to return. But of course, when that happens and when the president makes that decision, of course, it's easy to put people back in if you feel like that rioting starts to ramp up again.
There have been all sorts of articles and media reporting about this supposed rift in MAGA world and amongst Republicans about what to do with Iran. How do you see things right now?
Look, what the president said is so perfect about this. I think he gets to define America first because he's the person who ran, who was elected, and who actually leads this movement. And for all of the online chatter, what I see, and I've seen it very privately, of course, and I've seen it very publicly, the president is very focused on a core American national interest. And that national interest is the state of...
And that's why we're bombing Iran at the behest of Israel.
Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. So how long do you give diplomacy a chance to work before it's time to drop a bunker buster?
Look, the president has to answer that question, right? And I think that what he said is he's going to pursue diplomacy until he thinks that there isn't an opportunity. And once he decides that diplomacy has completely run its course, that we're not going to get anything out of additional talks, then I think the president is going to do what he needs to do to end Iranian enrichment and end that Iranian nuclear program. Again, the president will make that final decision. I do think that we're running out of time, but as the president said yesterday, he wants to give it a little bit more time.
Tech CEOs sworn into U.S. military. Fuck the Times of India. I want a better one. Detachment 201. The Army launches Detachment 201, Executive Innovation Corps to drive tech transformation. The 4 new Army Reserve Lieutenant Colonels. We just had 4 Lieutenant Colonels sworn into the United States military, and they are Shyam Sankar, the Chief Technology Officer for Palantir. Andrew Bosworth, Chief Technology Officer for Meta. Kevin Weil, Chief Product Officer of OpenAI. And Bob McGrew, advisor at Thinking Machine Labs and former Chief Research Officer for OpenAI. These 4 new people were just sworn in as Lieutenant Colonels into the United States military. MAGA, are you here? Are you listening? Oh, fuck, dude. They put them in fatigues to swear them in, the CEOs of these Silicon Valley companies. Look, they put them in fucking fatigues, bro. These are CEOs of Meta and Palantir and OpenAI. They put them in fucking fatigues. No way. Yep. Stolen valor? No. They bought their valor. That's purchased valor. That's not stolen. They bought it. That's not stolen valor. They purchased it. They purchased it. Oh, you can't make this shit up, dog. Why did they do this? Because they're fascists and they want to create a super surveillance state. They don't believe in democracy. They're trying to create a form of tech feudalism where Silicon Valley controls different districts of the United States. Not even kidding. It's called tech feudalism. It's called the neo-reactionary movement. They just want to destroy democracy. Dark Enlightenment. Yep. Curtis Yarvin. Yep. Can't make this shit up, dog. Thought right-wingers would hate this. What happened to you'll own nothing and be happy? Well, right-wingers are servile dogs. They just lap up whatever piss puddle Donald Trump splashes on the floor for them. They will just support literally anything Donald Trump says. They would allow Donald Trump to fuck their mother. Let's see Fox propaganda.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with us. My angle in moments. But first, missiles continuing to fly in the Middle East as face-to-face negotiations between Iran and some European officials started with no immediate signs of progress. Iran's top diplomat says that Tehran is willing to keep talking, but not to the United States. Israel launching a wave of attacks against military-industrial sites and Iran retaliating by striking Tel Aviv. And late today, President Trump warned Iran, you have 2 weeks. That's it. The president knows
Why are you
what's at stake
staring at the camera, you dumb, blonde, old, wrinkly bitch?
Which is why he's giving this timetable. Now, we don't want the U.S. involved in another endless war. Trump campaigned on that, and he hasn't strayed.
Do you want your legacy, Mr. President, to be that of a peacemaker? Do you worry that striking Iran would change that?
Always a peacemaker. That doesn't mean sometimes you need some toughness to make peace, but always a peacemaker.
There's only so far you can push a peacemaker. But President Trump will do what he has to do and do what he's always done. He'll try to strike a deal.
This is how quick Republicans are able to just turn heel and change their belief systems. And this is the thing, I've said it before, Republicans don't have belief systems. They only regurgitate what Fox News tells them to believe. They are not capable of having belief systems.
He was pressed today on the quality of the intel he's gotten on how close Iran actually is to building nuclear weapons and whether he's done an about-face on military interventionism.
20 years ago, you were skeptical of a Republican administration that attacked a Middle East country on the idea of questionable intelligence of weapons of mass destruction. How is this moment different with Iran?
Well, there were no weapons of mass destruction. I never thought there were. And that was somewhat pre-nuclear. You know, there was a nuclear age, but nothing like it is today. And it looks
talking about 2005, claiming that 2005 was a pre-nuclear age. That's what the President of the United States just said.
Like I'm right about the material that they've gathered already. It's a tremendous amount of material. And I think within a matter of weeks, or certainly within a matter of months, they're going to be able to have a nuclear weapon. We can't let that happen.
What intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point.
Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. Who in the intelligence community said that?
Your Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
She's wrong.
Oh, ouch. And President Trump answered one of the most important questions that I think all of you want to know the answer to.
President, are you concerned that Iran or its proxies would wage terror attacks against American targets abroad if you order military action?
We're always concerned about that, and we have to take them out and be very strong. You're even in danger talking to me right now. Do you know that?
Once the United States gets involved, there is no turning back. Trump is wise to give this more time to play out. Here with me now is Behnam Bentaleblu, Senior Fellow at the Foundation of the Defense for the Defense of Democracies. Behnam, it's good to see you. Is President Trump taking the right path here by giving Iran, in your estimation, it's essentially a deadline it could be as long as 2 weeks, but he didn't say that it might not be shorter than 2 weeks.
Jesus Christ.
Pleasure to be with you, Laura. I think it's the million-dollar question, and you're absolutely right to be asking it because Trump is giving time, but not necessarily to Iran. President Trump is giving time to the Israelis to continue to defang the Iranian ballistic missile threat. Iran is still home, even though lots of missiles have been intercepted and even though lots of missiles have been destroyed. Iran is still home to the biggest ballistic missile arsenal in the Middle East. So that is a critical mission that the Israelis are continuing to carry out, both against medium-range systems as well as against their launchers. The Israelis continue to go after a whole network of missile, military, and nuclear infrastructure, so continuing to impose costs on this regime, which increases actually President Trump's leverage in the short to medium term if he does give them this full 2 weeks.
Well, Iran's deputy foreign minister was asked today why his government had ramped up the production of enriched uranium. This was his response.
$5 from Seth. These people acting like collapsing Iran won't create the largest amount of terrorists the world have ever seen. Yes, but that is what the Republicans want. They want a forever war. The way that you stay in power is by having a war going on. Trump gets to get wartime powers. They can invoke the Insurrection Act. They can claim that they're Iranian sleeper cells. They can prevent an election. They want a forever war. That's the point.
Response. Watch.
There is no ban on 60% enriched uranium, which are being used, in different places for peaceful purposes. But to use that as a pretext to use aggression against Iran, that is something that we resist.
Benham, this is pretextual.
Oh, hallo, Jörg. Ich liebe dich, mein Kamerad.
The percent of uranium that they possess.
No shot. Aaron Parnas did not say that there's sleeper cells in the U.S. He probably said that the Trump regime is warning people that there may be sleeper cells in the U.S. because that is what the Trump regime is doing.
We have breaking news right now. U.S.
Yeah, no, he didn't say nothing. I mean, let's see. He said something about sleepers a couple of days ago.
We have some serious news right now. According to CBS News, the FBI is ramping up surveillance of Iranian sleeper cells in the United States of America ever since Israel's attacks on Iran, and especially since Donald Trump has begun considering possibly sending U.S. military planes to bomb Iranian nuclear sites. According to CBS, Donald Trump, as he's contemplating the potential U.S. strikes, law enforcement officers have stepped up surveillance of Iran-backed operations in the United States. They're worried about cells linked to Hezbollah, which is a U.S.-designated foreign terrorist organization, which is backed by Iran, along with other potential domestic sleeper cells that Iran is running. Why are they doing this? Well, they're concerned about a possible attack on the homeland, on U.S. soil, and they want to make sure that they're ahead of anything that could happen if the United States were to get involved and strike Iran. This is a very serious situation, and it's only growing more serious as the U.S. gets more involved. So we'll see what happens next. Spread the word. I'll do a full breakdown on my Substack linked in bio. So subscribe for free and follow along for more.
Yeah, that's a false flag coming up. That's going to be a very successful false flag operation. Wouldn't even be surprised if it's some like July 4th type shit.
Breaking moments ago, new reports from open source plane spotters show 6 B-2 stealth bombers from White...
6? I thought it was 4. 6 B-2s?
Air Force Base in Missouri appearing to head toward a U.S. Air Force Base in Guam. The B-2 can carry 2 15-ton bunker buster bombs that could be used to target Iran's heavily fortified Fordo nuclear site. This is a second U.S. aircraft carrier will arrive in the Middle East this weekend. President Trump will return later today to the White House for an intelligence briefing. Welcome to Fox News Live on a busy news weekend. I'm Mike Emanuel in Washington. New airstrikes from the Israeli Air Force against missile storage and launch infrastructure in Iran overnight as the IDF says it has killed a commander of the Quds Force. who is a key coordinator of weapons deliveries to Hamas. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palkot is live in Tel Aviv with more. Hello, Greg.
Hello, Mike. Yeah, we are into now day 9 of the war between Israel and Iran, and there are more raids on key Iranian targets as well as individuals. The Isfahan nuclear facility was hit for the second time by Israel. The IAEA confirms real damage was done to the centrifuge construction facility. And another assassination by Israel. Saeed Izzati, a Revolutionary Guard commander who played a...
All of this is illegal, by the way. Every single action that Israel is taking on Iran is illegal. Just like, don't forget that every single one... This is a murder. This is not a act of war. This is murder.
Key role in the deadly October 7 Hamas attack against Israel was taken out. And the IDF claims to have shot down nearly all 40 Iranian drones headed towards Israel this morning. Tehran has had less success with these relatively slow-moving projectiles. Now, here in Tel Aviv, after we watched overnight a barrage of some 5 Iranian missiles, all knocked down by Israeli defenses, it has been relatively quiet, knock wood. Evening usually sees more activity. And as you noted, Mike, Fox News, citing sources, is reporting that 6 B-2 stealth bombers have left their home base in Missouri, said to be headed to Guam, which is a bit closer and a bit of an easier run to Iran. Now, Mike, that aircraft is the only one that can deploy the much-discussed bunker-busting bombs needed to take out Iran's deeply dug and crucial Fordo nuclear facility. Back to you.
Greg Palkot starting us off live in Tel Aviv. Greg, many thanks. President Trump will head back to Washington later today for a briefing on Iran after announcing he would wait up to 2 weeks on a decision to strike the Middle Eastern country. Nate Foy is traveling with the president in Bedminster, New Jersey. Hello, Nate.
He's got a great beard.
Hey, Mike, good afternoon. So, yeah, the pieces on the chessboard and the posturing.
Meanwhile, in Washington, U.S. President Donald Trump has said he will decide on his next move in 2 weeks. But already there are divisions with not just his conservative base, who don't want the U.S. to be involved in another war, but also within his own intelligence community. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, testified before Congress in March that Tehran was not building a nuclear warhead. And on Friday, President Trump dismissed her analysis.
What intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point.
Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. Who in the intelligence community said that?
Your Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
She's wrong.
Well, let's bring in Alan Fisher. He's live for us in Washington. And Alan, since that...
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We've got the whole team here, plus special guest, Congressman Ro Khanna, fresh off a Theo Von.
Hasn't thought and read every Brookings paper. He's just like, look, this is wrong. Yeah. And I was also struck by how concerned, scared, outraged it was that we were thinking of getting into another war in Iran.
So, Congressman, that's actually one of the main things that we wanted to focus on with you is the role here of the Democratic Party and of the opposition. One of the things that's really rhyming for me, going back and really thinking about what happened in Iraq, is I don't see a mobilization of the Democratic establishment on the Iran question. You know, we've had Thomas Massie and leaders like you.
Because so many fucking Democrat politicians are bought out by AIPAC and they're humble fucking servants of Israel.
Introduce, you know, the need for a declaration or an approval by Congress. I guess we can give it to the Bush administration. At least they went to the lengths with that. But here, the Trump administration is taking a completely unilateral approach. And we have not yet seen calls from major Democratic leaders, you know, for this. Exactly like as you say here. What does this mean from Senator Schumer? I'm just wondering if you could expound on that and the lack of leadership right now from the Democratic Party on the Iran war question.
It's deeply disappointing. This is like the Iraq War moment. The Democratic Party should be in unison, screaming from the rooftop, we don't want another war in the Middle East. Donald Trump won the presidency because he said that the Iraq War was a disaster, and Jeb Bush wasn't willing to say that. He won over a lot of people who previously supported Democrats because he committed that we weren't going to get into another war in the Middle East. We've had Iraq War cheerleaders in our party who ran for president. John Kerry, Hillary Clinton, John Edwards. It didn't work out so well for them. And then we had people who stood opposed to the war, like Barack Obama, who did very, very well, and Bernie Sanders. My view is that this is the moment
that did say that we need Musk on our side.
The Democratic Party can reclaim the anti-war mantle. Obviously, we should have unison of Democrats on my war powers resolution in the House. This isn't even a close call.
Oh, it wasn't out of context
at all. Senator Schumer, instead of saying, oh, I don't know, maybe they should strike him, maybe Trump isn't tough enough, he should be behind Tim Kaine and saying every Democrat needs to oppose this war.
Yeah, just from a cynical perspective, it seems like if you're a politician looking for
public, very public rebuke by President Trump. What have we been hearing from Tulsi Gabbard?
Well, she has put out a statement saying that the media is wrong. They've taken her comments out of context. Here's the problem for Tulsi Gabbard. They weren't. She gave evidence to a committee on Capitol Hill on the 26th of March and said very clearly, here's the context, the international community has made the assessment that Iran is not working towards a nuclear bomb, that it's made no efforts to try and pursue a nuclear bomb since the plan of the operation, the whole project was suspended by the Supreme Leader in 2013. She is also on the record back in 2019 during Trump's first term as saying that Donald Trump wants a war with Iran because Saudi Arabia and also Benjamin Netanyahu wants a war with Iran. So this is her desperately trying to claw back some credibility with Donald Trump after what was a stunning public rebuke. Here's the problem for Donald Trump and Tulsi Gabbard. A lot of conservatives, and not just conservatives, a lot of Americans are concerned at what is happening here. That there is intelligence that says one thing, but then we have Donald Trump and now the Director of National Intelligence saying another thing. And of course, they remember going to war with Iraq on what was then faulty, if not downright misleading intelligence.
It was completely inaccurate intelligence. It was fake. It wasn't real.
Exciting to come to the national capital to celebrate 250 year Army birthday and Flags Day and...
Oh, that's a South Vietnamese. This woman grew up in South Vietnam. Guaranteed, bro.
President Trump's birthday, all three events together.
We love you, we honor you, and we salute your noble service to our flag and to our country.
Anybody got a birthday message for Donald Trump?
Fuck off and die.
I think everybody here's an idiot unless support Donald Trump. Yeah, you're a fucking goat, bro. You're a fucking legend. Shit, that's it, baby. Do your thing, baby. Make us money.
We got better things to spend $45 million on. They want to cut PBS, though.
The white people here are either too happy or too angry. Who's the angry white man? I need good footage.
When these people are taking away rights from gays, women, trans, minorities, everybody else, they're the ones creating that war. Republicans are not American.
Well, thank you, Heavenly Father, for this day. We declare and decree that it still will prevail, Lord. We'll have victory in this nation. No insurrection, no riots, no disunity, no racism, none of that. We thank you, Lord, that there's peace here, Lord God. Protect our president and just protect the people of America, even if
God, I fucking hate religious zealot nut jobs.
Support President Trump. We thank you that he's fighting for all of us, Lord God, and just continue to use him and have your way in this event and in our nation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. What's up, guys? It's Matt with Channel 5. We're in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. We're here for the parade that's going to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. It also happens to be Donald Trump's birthday. We were here also to cover the No Kings protest, but that has since been shut down by the organizers due to the fear that the military would be involved. So we're going to check out what's going on. Let's get into it.
Dude, look at all of these fucking people. Dude, Every single person who showed up
Protesting
for
against
this
Donald Trump in this bullshit.
insane.
I thought
Not
we
the
were
protest,
supposed
but
to
the
be
people
saving
who
tens of
actually
billions
showed
of
up for the
dollars,
party.
and here we are spending what, $50 million on this parade. We imported half the military equipment that's here from Texas. That cost a fuckload. It's gonna cost a fuckload to fix all the streets. If these dipshits would stop doing it, we wouldn't have to deal with it. Democrats want to help
are not
everybody.
the ones who resort to name calling.
How about the fact that California and New York pay all the bills for your shitty red states?
I love this guy.
California by itself has the 5th largest economy in the entire world.
What's that got to do with anything?
The fact that we get all of the federal money from that. Nobody believes in states' rights versus federal rights.
You
It
know
is
what?
100. Was I done talking? Why do you
Because you
keep
don't
interrupting
shut
me?
up.
Can I finish my sentence? Are you guys afraid of what I have to say? So
No.
then why do you keep interrupting me? Can I finish an entire thought?
Because you haven't took a breath yet.
Can I? Okay, why does that matter? I'm in better shape than you are.
Oh, really?
I fucking love this
Republicans are
guy.
not Americans. Only liberals can be Americans.
You-
Conservatives are a
fucking
piece of
You know what?
shit
I hate
traitors.
liberals like you hate conservatives, but I don't discount them as being American.
Oh,
I go.
Badass.
Dude.
Damn.
Yo, put camera over there.
I would not want to be on the other end of that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm proud
Yeah,
of my
for
country.
sure.
I
Dude,
love-
these people are so fucking stupid. Yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah, for sure, bro.
Love my country. We are united more than the left will tell us. And so having something like this to rally people together, I think that's really important.
We're big supporters of the military. We're big supporters of Trump. We're big supporters of America. And this is very much an American celebration, and we wanted to be here.
Do you think this is an efficient use of taxpayer dollars? Do you think it's worth the $25 to $40 million price tag?
I think it absolutely is. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a demonstration of American strength and American.
Meanwhile, these are the same people who bitch and moan about fucking waste, fraud, and abuse within the federal government. Jesus fuck.
Pride and showcase our military to the world.
I think it's good use. It's gonna make our army look good.
Trump. No, dude, it's gonna make our army look good. And it was the most pitiful, dog shit, embarrassing show of weakness in American history, dude. In American history.
Wanted a military parade in his first term. He's a dictator, and this is what dictators do. He wants to stand up there and everybody praise him.
Oh my God, look, it's our president standing next to a very expensive Slovenian hooker.
There should be Meals on Wheels and cancer research for children, which has all been cut. So that's what we need to fund, and not military on the streets of America. Trump told Fox News that he wants everyone to treat him like Kim Jong-un.
He speaks and his people sit up at attention. I want my people to do the same.
Everybody adores him and loves him and praises him, and that is not America, obviously.
There's a lot of people that are trying to destroy this country from outside and within, and it doesn't do a bit of harm to show off a little bit of our abilities, and maybe some people could realize that we're not just going to get pushed over. The other thing of it is compared to all the things that go on in this country, what money is being spent here is a pittance. When you start adding up the things that Doge has found, all the crazy stuff with Social Security.
Doge, oh my God, these stupid fucks. I bet you that dumb motherfucker thought that he was gonna get a $4,000 check from Elon Musk. These people are so fucking lead poisoned that I honestly think you could lead them into a wall and tell them that Christ is in it, and they would just bash their fucking head against it trying to get to him.
Security, fraud, all the stuff that's going on with the illegals and the money being spent there.
I don't think Doge is a real thing, but I will tell you that the real waste comes from places like Lockheed Martin, how they're able to get so wealthy off of the U.S. military. Some people even lose their homes over the U.S. forces, and even the people that can't even get the VA benefits are treated even worse.
There's always room for improvement, but I'm 100% disabled through the VA. Trump is definitely pro-veteran. He absolutely loves us.
This guy's gonna lose his fucking VA funding.
Spread layoffs by the Trump administration now hitting veterans.
When they said Donald Trump doesn't support veterans, our vice president is a veteran. How does that make sense?
Didn't Doge cut
Dude, that's the literal furthest that the MAGA brain can go.
funds for the VA? No.
VA jobs across the country are at risk due to government efficiency cuts.
When you look at what happens at the VA, we do not take good care of anybody, and that includes the veterans.
There has been cuts to the VA. Fortunately, you have problems such as, I believe it was in Nashville, they're having orgies at the VA.
I think we're cooked.
No shit.
Yeah, you didn't hear that?
Orgies?
Yes, look it up.
A VA medical center in Tennessee is under investigation right now. Lawmakers call serious sexual assault and harassment accusations troublesome.
We do not.
Is that what he meant? Is that what he fucking meant? Holy fuck, dude.
Prioritize veterans as well as anybody else in this country as they're sick, homeless. They're just so poorly treated.
We were involved with a hurricane effort to rescue people in North Carolina, to help people down there.
The Trump administration blasting FEMA after discovering a $59 million payment used to help house migrants in New York City hotels.
Money that was supposed to go to them never went to them. It was going to the immigrants. And so
Trump also refused FEMA funding for Asheville, North Carolina, and he refused to declare a state of emergency.
It was left to patriots like ourselves. Those people paid taxes in Carolina just like everybody else, but where did their tax money go? That money was diverted and hijacked by the Biden administration. It was being put into the immigrants to stay at fancy hotels and live the life of Riley.
Hey, what's up, people? Let's take a quick break real quick to see.
Sorry, Andrew. Not gonna happen.
Legal immigration, I don't like him. I don't like him. If you want to come in the United States, you need to apply. And if you're not a criminal, you're able to come, you know? Not illegal. Illegal people.
Oh my God, bro. These people think they're Christians. You've got to be fucking kidding me. You've got to be fucking kidding me.
People, you know.
That's his mugshot, by the way. That's not any picture of him. That's his mugshot.
Don't change the illegal law.
And also, wearing the flag is actually a violation of, like, military law. Like, you can't do that in the military. Like, you can burn the flag, but you cannot wear the flag.
If you're coming in illegal, you're making the crime.
They need to get these illegals out of here.
Terrorists.
Kill all terrorists.
Kill all terrorists.
Do you think all illegal immigrants are terrorists?
Not all of them, but most of the fentanyl and stuff in California is coming across the border. That's where I'm from, and that's a huge problem over there, and we need to get that to stop. And the only way to stop it is get the illegal people out that are bringing it across the border. We need to close our borders.
I oppose the illegal crossing the border. It's unfair. If you come to America, you have to come legally like me.
You were probably fucking brought here after our nation fucked the shit out of your nation in Saigon, thrown on a fucking helicopter and extracted here as a political puppet. What the fuck are you talking about?
Just cross the border and jump into the line. That's unfair to the people apply and in the line. So I totally oppose.
I know so many Mexican people, you know, who is over here before illegal, long time ago, and working nice and paying the taxes. There's people we needed. We need the farmer workers, the construction. I told you, American people doesn't want to work. I'm Hungarian. I'm making the wood job. I'm making furniture. I'm making gardening. I'm making cement. I do everything. You know, nobody work what I doing. The American woman, no, only go to the beauty parlor, gallivanting the friend with the restaurant and drinking wine all day or beer. I drinking water because American people doesn't want to do it. American people doesn't want to do the heavy, hard job and a dirty job. The people who is working the farm coming before 21, yes, because they working. They paying the tax, you know.
Before 2021, so
yeah, 21.
During Biden's administration.
Yeah, before Biden.
Somebody come here and...
Dude, these fucking people are insane. Every person, the only... Like, so what? Do you just want fucking slave labor? Do you want immigrants to come in only if they can get a working pass to work in a fucking field? Why don't they go pick the cotton, huh? How about that? And then we'll let the business owners... Why don't we let them fucking whip them, too? Like... This woman is dead ass like the only immigrants who are allowed to come here are the ones who are willing to do back-breaking labor in order to earn their fucking citizenship.
Under the visa, if your visa expire, you have to renew or you have to come back to your own country and reapply. You cannot break the law to stay here. You become illegal because America is a law and order. You have to follow the law.
Donald Trump is a convicted felon.
I believe that he's innocent. He's for American people. They don't want him to be a president, so they try to kill him. But luckily, God saved him and and he say America.
Do you think it's a good idea to negate all those student visas for international students?
I think most of the Chinese coming here, I'm not talking about all, but most spy. I'm guaranteed
Most
spy.
of the
They come-
Chinese people that come here are spies. That's what this woman just said. Most of the Chinese people that come into the United States are spies. Brother, that is the most fucking insane thing I've ever heard.
over here and they steal the information and they come back home to do damage to America. So I agree that yank all the visa.
The Trump administration stopped scheduling new interviews for international students seeking visas to study in the U.S.
I heard that there were some people in my school being affected, but not particularly me.
Is that a French helmet? Is this another Vietnam? Dude, the South Vietnamese have such a weird obsession with America ever since the Vietnam War. It's actually really strange. Did you guys know that there were South Vietnamese flags being flown at the January 6th protest? South Vietnam flag, Jan 6. It's a weird rabbit hole that I could dive into. Not a lot of people know this, but like, look at this. This is a famous picture. That right there, that's the South Vietnamese flag, bro. For some weird fucking, like, and it's not like for some weird reason. I know why. It's because the South Vietnamese were like integral when it came to the military coup d'etat in Vietnam, overthrowing Ho Dinh Diem or some shit. Like, dude, the South Vietnamese, look how many fucking flags there are, bro, at January 6th. Look at all of them. There's so many. The South Vietnamese are like more likely to be fucking spies in the United States than the Chinese.
Visa is totally valid within its expiration time, and there's no reason for it to be terminated. In a way that is not political at all, this kind of action will affect the institutions themselves and violate the law which this country is built on. So I don't think that will be the case.
There was no King's protests planned for DC, but a lot of them disbanded due to the threat of the use of the military.
I've seen a few people here protesting, and they're doing it nice and quiet. They're not raising holy hell, and it's fine. I've seen people wear shirts with no kings on it, and that's fine. They're not disturbing anything. You know, they're not burning down a building, a car, or whatever. But at the same time, you know, there would be a military presence that would say, you know, look, you're not going to loot. You're not going to burn things.
When I saw bricks going through windshields and things like that, I said, they're going to get killed.
If we didn't send out the National Guard, Los Angeles would be burning right now.
Somebody had to do something to step in and make sure that they stay safe. And I felt like Trump did what he had to do. I don't fault him for it at all. A lot of people are saying that he didn't have the right to do it or the authority. I feel like as the president, he has the authority to do whatever he wants.
Dude, these people want a fucking king. Hey, as the president of the United States, he has the ability to do whatever the fuck he wants. How dare you call yourself a fucking American? How dare you cosplay as one of us? You are not one of us, you fucking old cunt. You want the president of the United States to be able to do whatever he wants. We had a fucking revolution over that bitch.
You know, that's why we voted him in as the president, because we trusted his decision-making skills were going to be the best for us as a country.
Peaceful protest should never have martial law. People have the right to protest. It's in the First Amendment in the Constitution. We do not follow the president. We follow the U.S. Constitution here.
Period.
They're so afraid of martial
we
law.
both said
They
it.
see any military, that's the first thing they think, martial law. But they got to understand, the military is not just to protect us from other countries. We also got enemies within our country. So we got to be protected from them as well.
So you're okay with the military being used against civilians if we're a threat to ourselves?
If we're a threat, of course. I'm the police, whoever you have to use to make sure other citizens are safe, you got to, by any means necessary.
The president's doing what he has to do. You got Gavin Newsom that doesn't want to do anything, and you got Karen Bass that doesn't want to do anything. So Trump said enough is enough. I'm putting my forces in there. If anything, it'd be safe for everybody. The Marines, I mean, first he deployed 2,000 National Guardsmen, then 700 Marines. And the Marines are just waiting at the gate to get in there and clean house.
It's the first time, I think, since the 60s that the executive branch called in the National Guard and the state didn't. And
that is true. First time since 1965.
So it's just to show that Trump is just overstepping. There's no more checks and balances. He's doing what he wants, and it's a show of strength. He's
Bro,
trying
these fucking kids sound like they're in my chat.
to get people scared, because the scared population is not one that's going to fight.
We're here on the National Mall. The Washington Monument is literally right there. And behind us, as you can hear, there's music for the celebration of the 250th anniversary of the Army, and we're now awaiting the arrival of President Trump. There's some snipers on the roof. They don't want a repeat of the last time there was an attempt on his life. And the crowd right now is not massive. It's big, but it's not huge. We heard from a soldier that the crowd will probably increase right before the parade.
It didn't. Bro, Trump claimed there were 250,000 people here. Look at this. He claimed there were 250,000 people at this bullshit, pathetic fascist birthday party. I think there were more soldiers than there were people, bro.
He's going to speak behind a pretty thick shield of
Again, there's the president with his expensive Slovenian hooker.
Bulletproof glass that's set up for him. He's going to address the crowd, and then I guess we're going to see tanks in the street.
Every other country celebrates their victories. It's about time America did too.
It is cool to see this, but I will say it's a little underwhelming, I'm not gonna lie.
The spectacle drew sharp criticism and was believed to be by many a lackluster event. In fact, social media users criticized the parade's presentation, pointing to sloppy marching, poor formation, and low crowd energy. Visuals, in fact, showed tanks passing in complete silence, while others showed sparse audiences and out-of-sync troops.
What'd you think of the parade, man?
I think it was a long line, but it was pretty cool. A great representation of our military, and I think that we really need to be more grateful for them and show more appreciation for sure.
I love it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing you need to see. I am a German.
South African? No, he's German, okay.
I served in the German military. I moved to Texas 15 years ago, and finally I had a chance to see that mighty army here.
I think it's pretty badass that the tanks are coming through the street. I think it's pretty gangster.
As you can see,
dude,
things are
what
pretty
a fucking dipshit. Oh my God, I think it's pretty gangster, bro. Fucking, dude, draft that guy. Send him to Tehran immediately.
Both sides today has accused the other of being brainwashed, and the conviction I've seen from both sides is as fiery as it's ever been. You hear words like fascist being thrown around. Half the people thought this parade was a good idea, half the people thought this parade was a terrible idea. All we can do is just keep asking people what they think.
I think it's a ridiculous nonsense. What do you think it is? It's nothing but an ego show for a draft dodger, traitor to the United States, who should have never been allowed to run again. There's no other country on earth, no liberal democracy that would have let this guy run for office again.
That's so fucking true, bro. No, you can honestly, you cannot debate against that. There is no fucking nation on planet Earth other than fucking Russia. So when we're talking about democracies, they're not included. There was no democracy on planet Earth that would have allowed a 34x convicted felon rapist who tried to overthrow the government and refused to acknowledge his defeat in 2020. No fucking nation on Earth would let that son of a bitch run for president other than the most corrupt nation in fucking history, the United States of America, formerly known as a fucking beacon of democracy. And, you know, oh, the shining city on a hill. Yeah, well, you know what? Fucking fires burn too. And this fucking country is burning to the goddamn fucking ground.
Launched an insurrection against the United States. And then all this nonsense.
Go get some tacos. You too. Drink some beer and tacos. Do a push-up.
Fucking A right, man.
Do a push-up.
Dude, I'm a firefighter EMT. What you got?
I'm a combat vet. 0506.
Hey, I'll thank you for your service.
Yeah.
My dad's a combat veteran as well.
But you're not.
And?
What do you guys make of all these protesters? What do you think?
Fucking role-playing, LARPing fucking loser.
I'm so sorry.
It's a good thing. I mean, it's one of the most basic tenets of the United States of America. Freedom. We're not going to agree, but to get sideways or stupid with people, there's no call for that. We've done this for hundreds of years, and we've survived. There's no reason to look at them and go, you're the bad guy, I'm the good guy, or vice versa. We're all not going to agree.
Channel 5 Live Worldwide, Hollywood and Vine.
Fuck the authority, Channel 5 News.
Channel 55, we don't fuck with custers. And 5 is the best number.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Dude, Channel 5 is absolutely fucking incredible. If you haven't subscribed to Channel 5, Andrew Callahan, head over there. Give them a like and a subscribe. That was fucking incredible. That was peak. That was absolutely fucking peak, bro. Dude, independent media is taking over. Like, wasn't that so much better than the shit you see on CNN? Wasn't that so much better than what's on Fox and MSNBC? Independent media is absolutely taking over. Anyway, listen, guys, I think I'm going to take a break. I need some food. And need to relax. And also, tonight I'm making a rabbit hole. I think I'm going to make it on Iran's nuclear program and how Iran has been 2 weeks away from creating a nuke since 1979. Well, it'll be a little bit lighthearted. It'll be very sarcastic. We'll be like, how is it possible? Like, is there a time loop type shit? Be like, how is it possible that Iran has been 2 weeks away from making a nuke since 1979? The only logical explanation could be time travel, right? Time loops. Something. I think it'll be funny. I'm going to hop, though. I'm going to take a break. Can you go live during the Trump meeting? I don't think that's going to be live, by the way, but maybe I will. I might go live again later, depending on what the fuck goes down. You know what I'm saying? All right, I'll catch you guys. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing and it helps me immensely. Other than that, I love you, I love you, I love you. Thank you very much. I'll catch you, I'll catch you, I'll catch you. Have a good one, have a good one, have a good one. Bye, 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 bye.